Greetings in the bonds of peace, and welcome to the Vision on Ishi. My name is Dr. Lyons. I am a forever student of the divine vision and revelation given to the founder of the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley, who had his vision and revelation in the year of 1931 in the state of Ohio at 9 a.m., June 6, first watch, third hour, and day of Pentecost, according to Yahweh's prophetic timetable given to the human nation. Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley proved these facts on 3 ecclesiastical peace missions around the world to every religious organization and school of the highest learning from 1958 to 1976. As a result of his divine vision and revelation, he transcribed God, the archetype, original pattern of the universe. This publication was given to every queen and king of the earth and their progenies, including all presidents elected until 1980, along with a Holy Name Version Bible, revised by A.B. Trainer, an Italian Hebrew. The Holy Name Bible reveals the true and correct name and title of the Heavenly Father and His Son. The Heavenly Father's name is Yahweh. His divine title is Elohim. The name of the Son is Yahshua, the Messiah, who the whole world erroneously calls Jesus Christ. Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley revealed to the world on his peace missions and within his publication, the threefold tabernacle pattern that Yahweh Elohim had given to Moses in the year of 1490 BBY, and commanded Moses to build one exactly like it in the wilderness of Sinai, which was the establishment of the Mosaic law and cardinal ordinances. Yahweh Elohim led the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, instituting the Passover. After 40 years, Yahweh Elohim commissioned Moses in the audience of the children of Israel to place his hand upon Yahshua, the son of Nun, to give him charge to lead the children of Israel to Canaan's land before Moses had entered into Mount Nebo. 33 days later, Eleazar and the sons of Aaron, bearing the ark of the covenant, placed the soles of their feet upon the river Jordan, and it opened up like it into the Red Sea. Therefore, Yahshua, the son of Nun, commissioned 12 men of valor to retrieve 12 stones from the midst of the river Jordan, as a witness unto Israel that Yahweh Elohim had opened up the Red Sea, as he did the river Jordan, to fulfill his promise to Father Abraham 430 years before the law. Yahshua had confirmed the covenant of circumcision to the cherubim Michael, captain of the host of Yahweh, to remove the reproach of Egypt from the children of Israel once they had entered into Canaan's land. 480 years after the children of Israel departed out of the land of Egypt, the foundation of this temple was laid. 7 years to the completion of this temple in correlation to the 7 days of creation. In like manner, according to the 3 phenomenal days, a day for a year, it took 3 years to defer, so that all the instruments that was within the tabernacle upon Mount Zion will be placed within King Solomon's temple upon Mount Moriah. This is a total of a 490-year cycle. The same divine service that was carried out pertaining to the law of Moses was carried out within King Solomon's temple for a period of 33 years, before the invasion and destruction of Jerusalem and the destruction of his temple by the king of Egypt, King Shishak. John on the Isle of Patmos, therefore, bear witness that Yahshua is the true Messiah and the Lamb of Yahweh. John had bear record that when Yahshua had told the Pharisees and scribes of his day to destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it again. But he spoke of the temple of his body. In like manner, John had bear record that when the centurion guard had pierced Yahshua in his side, that forthwith came blood and water. Yahshua therefore offered his spirit, his eternal spirit, unto the Father, one time, through the operation of his death, burial, resurrection, his ascension, and outpouring of his Holy Spirit on June 6, 33 AD, whereupon the 120 within the upper room was persecuted for 7 years, preaching that Yahshua was the fulfillment of the law of Moses and that Yahshua was the Messiah. Therefore, pertaining to the 70 years of servitude and the disbursement of the children of Israel amongst the Gentile nation, that in a process of time, in AD 40, that the gift of the Holy Spirit was presented unto the Gentile nation, so that they would be engrafted into the body of the Messiah as one new man, by preaching and believing in the salvation which was once delivered unto the children or sons of Elohim, to fulfill his promise to Father Abraham, that all nations of the earth would be blessed through thy seed, which is singular, which is Yahshua, the Messiah. These illustrations can be found on page 42 in the 1961 edition, and page 69 in the 12th edition of God, the Archetype Original Pattern of the Universe, called The Comparative Analyst or Apocalyptic Confirmation of Moses and John of the Creation. Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley had given us rules of engagement pertaining to his vision, that the manifestation would change, but the principle will remain the same. That being said, study to show thyself approved, a workman who needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And may the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, teach you all things. My aims and objectives are to help you find Yahshua the Messiah in your heart and in your mind. 1 Corinthians 15, 1-5. 1 Corinthians 6, 17 to 20. 2 Corinthians 3rd chapter, verses 1 to 6. My second aim and objective is to show you how Yahweh wrote his laws in your inner hearts. Jeremiah 31:31, Hebrews 8:10 through verse 13. My third aim and objective is to help you discern the sons of Elohim and the sons of the devil. 1 John 3rd chapter, 1 John 4th chapter, verses 1 through 10. My fourth aim and objective is to show and prove that Yahshua is the true Elohim, whom Yahweh has sent. 1 John 5:20, John 17 and 3. My fifth aim and objective is to reveal that the children of faith in Yahshua the Messiah are the true seed of Abraham. Galatians 3rd chapter, verses 26 through 29. My sixth aim and objective is to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery. From the beginning of the age hath been hid in Yahweh, who created all things by Yahshua the Messiah. Ephesians 3 and 9. My seventh aim and objective to endeavor to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bonds of peace. Ephesians 4 and 3. My eighth aim and objective is to press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of Yahweh in Yahshua the Messiah. Philippians 3 and 13. My ninth aim and objective is to make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the nations, which is the Messiah in you, the hope of glory. Colossians 1 and 27. My 10th aim and objective is proving the existence and destruction of Satan and his demons through the dispensation and ages. Romans 1:18 through verse 32 and Romans the 2nd chapter, verses 1 through 16. At this particular time, we'll be having prayer, our scripture reading, announcements, our script ascertainment and perception and direction exam. We'll be choosing the speaker, and then at the end, we'll be having our doxology, which is Ephesians, the 3rd chapter, verses 20 through 21. At this particular time, we will be having our prayer. The servant come before you, humble and grateful, Heavenly Father, for the things that you have given me, the things that you have given to me. I cannot thank you enough, Father. I just ask, Heavenly Father, that you dwell within my temple, richly and purely, Heavenly Father, as a witness unto the world, Heavenly Father, how you really are and actually exist. You have given some beautiful illustrations and manifestations of yourself, Heavenly Father, with people that you have me to share pertaining what you have picked for your ecologies to make known who you are according to your purpose. I humbly thank you, Heavenly Father, for the opportunity that you have allowed me to be able to be your servant to precincts eternally that you have built. And on top of that, Heavenly Father, that goes according to your witnesses, Heavenly Father, that are behind me, that you have given me years before these events that need to transfer. All praise goes to you, Father. Heavenly Father, Yahweh, I fear you. I fear you, Father. But at the same time, Heavenly Father, that perfect love casts out all fear, Father, to where I love you. I can see anything I can touch, anything, Heavenly Father, that is tangible. I tell my kids that I love you more than Heavenly Father, because your words say that one loves mother, father, brother, sister, child more than me. He is not worth it. And I have come to that point in my life, Heavenly Father, that there is nothing more than you. Have me manifest this. Have me live this, Heavenly Father. Have me prove this, Heavenly Father, that you are King of the whole entire world. There is none greater than you. None. Nowhere. There is none greater than you in the heavens above and the earth below. And my prayer is that we know to the righteousness. These things I pray in the only begotten Son, your only begotten Son, which is Yahshua the Messiah. Hallelujah. At this particular time, we'll be having our announcements. And our announcements for this evening's class, that there was an email sent out saying that the Oakland branch will be reopening believably on the 6th of February, the upcoming 6th of February. And it's undecisive whether we're just going to be open on Sundays only, or if we will go back to regular schedule. Until further notice, that is the announcements pertaining to that, and it still remains closed until this day. Our other announcement is that Dr. Johnson has been recovering for the past 2.5, 3 weeks. He was exposed by working to the Omicron variant of the COVID virus. He called me yesterday and informed me that him, his wife, his family were subjected into virus. His wife is doing well. She's down now. She contracted the virus as well, and they are just basically trying to recuperate from that. And I just ask, as I said, my prayers have always went out to his endeavors, no matter what they were. And so, be that as it may, the prayer is that he recovers strongly. He sounds very good on the phone. I thank the Father for having compassion on him and his family, and not allowing them to be able to leave here. These particular variants has an effect on everyone different. So this is why I say the things that I say. People protect yourself. It's no joke. Yahweh is sending a message into the world. And so, I said this and I want to say it right now so it will be heard. This variant has been going on, and I'm talking about the COVID for the past 4 years. 4 is the number of change. My prediction pertaining to this particular virus for the last 7 years, because it's going to continue to keep mutating. Every flu season, I'm not going to say any more to that. Because it's very complicated. And I don't want to really alarm everyone. But you know what? It's my job because I'm a servant of Yahweh, and I really don't care about the consequences of what I'm getting ready to say. Let me finish my announcements. I would like to thank all of my viewers viewing our site. I thank you for the comments, the positive ones as well as the negative ones. If you are newly joining our site, it's recommended that you go back and view our first 42 lectures, especially if you are a student of the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research and you have not, fortunately, have seen the purpose of Yahweh Elohim again, ask you to go back and look at the first 42 lectures, because we go through the entire purpose from beginning to end, using all of our writing and textbook materials within our classroom, as well as all of the charts that we have within our school system that was sanctioned by our founder to be in every school. So if you have never seen Principles Ran on the 40 plate chart, migratory trade chart, and all of the other charts that we have within our school system, that I do recommend that you go back and see these things. I think it's very, very satisfying. And so that being said, Elder Van Hook will not be with us this evening. And as well, may Yahweh Elohim bless her endeavors as well. And so I want to get back to what I was getting ready to say about being a messenger of Yahweh. I say the things that I say is because that I'm looking at how a lot of individuals are forced into being vaccinated. And what's happening with these vaccinations, that they're giving booster shots, things of that particular nature, but it does not prevent you from being able to contract the virus. The reason why I'm saying this is because history repeats itself. Anybody that knows history, you go back, like I read to you about our textbook pertaining to what our former international vice president dean, Dr. Robert Harris, wrote in one of his lectures in volume 3 of the archetype. And I gave a thesis pertaining to what he has written about tuberculosis. If you go back and look at the things pertaining to the history of influenza, when these type of viruses had first started to manifest and spread throughout the world, plaguing individuals and they were dying like they are right now, that the first form of medication to be able to fight influenza and tuberculosis. Let's use tuberculosis because that's something very, very common that it happened, that the first 3 treatments that they provided for tuberculosis was not very effective to help an individual like how tuberculosis came to now. And if we go back in history, even though they came out with a 4th vaccination, that particular 4th vaccination helped a little bit more than the first 3. By the time they came up with the 5th vaccination for tuberculosis, that it was very controllable, and the shots were the vaccinations were a little bit more easy to the system and attack the immune system of the body to help prevent it. And tuberculosis was an airborne disease. If someone coughed in the air and you inhaled that, then you became contaminated with that particular virus. And so now, they have medication, they have pills, they have shots to it. Tuberculosis, it will subside. So when I go back and I look at history and I see how tuberculosis was a main disease to affect the body to where it could really kill you. And we go back and we look at the things that happened, with the influenza that happened over a century ago, and we look at the prospects and things of that particular nature. The course of history will continue to repeat itself. It's just natural. The course of history will always repeat itself after a period of 50 to 100 years. Okay? And so we have to look at these particular things. And let me say this too, not only a period of 50 or a period of 100 years, but as well as up to the point of 120 years. Things will change or manifest themselves, depending upon the principle that it falls on based upon what happened formerly pertaining to the purpose of the Creator. So what happens is that we look back in time to be able to understand what's getting ready to happen in the present time. And so therefore Yahweh Elohim allows us to stay in the light based upon the witnesses that he gives us to be able to see what's getting ready to transpire by the threefold intangible tabernacle pattern that is unerring. So this is the reason why I made the statement that I have made. And so this is where we are in time, okay? And so, I don't mean to be cynical about this particular situation or the things that I said. I'm just speaking based upon facts of things that have taken place within the past. So that being said, that really pretty much concludes my announcements. I would like to get off into the Father's ecologies. And let's see where Yahweh Elohim takes us this evening. And I want to say this too before I get started with my ecologies, that if you notice that at the beginning of the so-called Gregorian year, that we have been having a lot of deaths. People have been leaving. If you go back in my last year's lectures, that I prophesied that in the upcoming events that there will be a lot of deaths that will be unexplainable, or there will be a lot of deaths. I made this statement and I shared it with Dr. Johnson when he was regularly attending the meetings. And so now, be that as it may, that when I spoke that maybe 4.5 months ago, maybe even I would do a rough estimate to maybe 4 to 6 months ago, that now these things are manifesting, okay? I have lost individuals in my family, as well as hearing about pillars of this gospel leading. And even throughout the last part of the year up until now, a lot of individuals have left here, good and bad. And so that being said, it was because what Yahweh Elohim had put upon my heart and mind to be able to prophesy. And let me share this with you. It's just the beginning, okay? I do not wish any immoral turpitude, hatred, or animosity upon the human race, because humanity is something that I firmly believe in. Everybody is somebody. Everybody has a say because of what Yahshua, the Messiah, has done for the whole entire world by going through his death, burial, resurrection, and pouring out his spirit within the hearts and minds of man. So therefore, there is no other spirit but the spirit of the Creator. But you have people who choose to drag on things from the past and things which are evil. And so therefore, when they entertain those type of things, that's what they become. For the prophecy says that he who is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he who is evil, let him be evil still. Now, these things were prophesied by Jonah on the solar patterns in AD 96. And so therefore, even as we speak up until now, that him being in the Sabbath day or within the kingdom, that this is what allows us, by being in the kingdom, to be able to see these things perpetually all the way down based upon what Yahweh Elohim has spoken through this apostle. So that being said, those were just some things to kind of bring us up to date. And so therefore, what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to get into, I'm sorry. We had our prayer, our announcements. I missed something that was very, very important because I missed our scripture lesson. And so therefore, before our scripture lesson, which is before I get into archaeology, we will have our scripture lesson, which will be Judges, the 16th chapter. So I do apologize for for me not doing the scripture reading before the announcements, but I guess it's just how Yahweh it's taken me this evening. And so therefore let me continue praise my Father in his words, okay? So now we will be reading Judges, the 16th chapter out of the Holy Name Version Bible, critically compared with ancient authorities and various manuscripts revised by a trainer of Yahshua Promotions. Reads as follows. Then went Samson to Gaza, and saw there an harlot, and went in unto her. And it was told the Gazites, saying, Samson is come hither. And they compassed him in, and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all the night, saying, in the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. And Samson lay till midnight, and rose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city, and the two posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of a hill that is before Hebron. And it came to pass afterwards that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the rulers of the Philistines came up unto her and said unto her, entice him, and see wherewith his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bound him to afflict him. And we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. And Delilah said to Samson, tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. And Samson said unto her, if thou bind me with 7 green withs that were never dry, then shall I be weak, and be as another man. Then the rulers of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green withs, which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber. And she said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he brake the withs as a thread of tow is broken when it touches the fire. So his strength was not known. And Delilah said unto Samson, behold, thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thy mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou bind me fast with a new rope, which never were used, then shall I be weak, and be as another man. Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And there were liars in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them off of his arms like a thread. Delilah said unto Samson, hereto thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with a web. And she fastened it with a pin, and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And as he awakened out of his sleep and went away, please forgive me. This is why they tell us to silence our phones when we have class, and I do apologize for not silencing my phone. Please forgive me. And she said unto him, how canst thou say, I love thee, when thy heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth. And it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart, and said unto her, There have not come a razor upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite unto thee long from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the rulers of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he hath showed me all his heart. Then the rulers of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand. And she made him sleep upon her knees. And she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep, and said, I will go out as other times before, and shake myself. And he knew not that Yahweh was departed from him. But when the Philistines took him and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with fetters and brass, and he did grind in the prison house. Howbeit, the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. Then the rulers of the Philistines gathered them together for to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon, their idol, and to rejoice, for they said, Our idol hath delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hand. And when the people saw him, they praised their idol, for they said, Our idol hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. And it came to pass, when their hearts were merry, that they said, Call for Samson, that he may make us sport. And they called for Samson out of the prison house, and he made them sport. And they set him between the pillars. And Samson said unto the lad that held him by the hand, Suffer me, that I may feel the pillars wherewith the house standeth, that I may lean upon them. Now the house was full of men and women, and all the rulers of the Philistines were there. And there were upon the roof about 3,000 men and women that beheld while Samson made sport. And Samson called unto Yahweh and said, O Yahweh, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee, on this once, O Lord, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes. And Samson took hold of the 2 metal pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was bored up, of the one with his right hand and the other with his left hand. And Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the rulers and upon the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all the house of his fathers came down and took him and brought him up and buried him between Zorah and Ishatoah in the burial place of Manoah, his father. And he had judged Israel 20 years. I have read to you Judges, the 16th chapter. At this particular time, We will be getting into our ecologies. We made our announcements already. And so therefore, I will begin as follows. Here it says that, and this particular ecology is picking up from our last ecology, which we shared with you Monday. And so therefore, this is the follow-up pertaining to our last ecology, pertaining to the things that have happened in Damascus. Okay. It says that Qadis-led forces say that they have retaken Syrian prison seized by ISIS. An SDF spokesman posted a photo, he said, showed ISIS militants surrendering inside Gawairan prison. A Qadis-led militant alliance say it was regained full control of a prison in northeastern Syria seized by the Islamic State, ISIS group. 6 days ago, a spokesman from the US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, tweeted that all Daesh terrorists inside the Hasaka Gawairan prison had surrendered. Several hundred children detainees were also trapped in the facility with them. At least 181 people have reportedly been killed in clashes since ISIS tried to stage a massive breakout on Thursday. They include 124 militants and inmates and 50 police, SDF fighters, and prison guards, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. The UK-based monitoring group reported on Wednesday afternoon that the SDF was mostly in control of the prison, but it warned that militants might still be hiding in cells and sections that have not been searched. The SDF is holding some 12,000 men and teenage boys detained during the war against ISIS. Is overcrowded prisons in areas of northeastern Syria under the control as well as 60,000 women and young boys in lock camps. The attacks on Gawairan prison on Thursday night was the biggest ISIS operation since the jihadist group militant defeated in Syria in 2019, and came amid signs of a reassurance sleepers cells use explosives to blow holes in the outer walls and enter the facility to free fellow jihadists among the estimated 4,000 male inmates. Hundreds of SDF fighters and members of the allied Assasian security forces battled to take back the prison with the help of US fighter jets, helicopters, and armored vehicles. The SDF said that 23 prison guards held as hostages have been freed and that more than 1,000 militants and inmates had surrendered before the spokesperson or spokesman Fahad Shami announced the end of all the operation on Wednesday afternoon. Mr. Shami made no mention in his tweet of the 700 children who the SDF said had been used as human shields by the ISIS militant inmates. But he told the Voice of America had the safety of the children not being our major concern, could have finished this operation in 1 or 2 days with heavy weapons. The UN Children Agencies, UNICEF said on Tuesday night that it had received deeply worrisome reports of fatalities among children trapped in the facility, and called on all parties to allow them to be evacuated safely. Some detainees had sent into audio messages saying that they had seen the bodies of several children and warning that there was no food, water, or medicine. Letta Taylor of Human Rights Watch tweets that she had been in contact with an 18-year-old American and a Canadian man inside the prison and told her that 15 to 20 boys could have been killed and that they feared they would be shot if they tried to leave. It's hard to guess honestly. It's very chaotic. She quoted that the Canadian as saying, one kid I evacuated as we were trying to stop his bleeding. He died in front of me. His leg was busted open. We tried to stop the bleeding with a shirt. He looked very young. Yusuf said most of the 850 children, some young as 12 years old, detainees in prison without charge by the SDF, were being held at the Garan before Thursday attack. Most were Syrians and Iraqi boys, while the rest are nationals of 20 other countries who refused to repatriate them, it added. Now here, when we go into this particular ecology, we always go and we validate the divine vision of our founder, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley. And so therefore, what we will be doing here is that when we go here within these particular newspaper articles, and we authenticate the divine vision and revelation of our founder, and we come here and we look at these particular things that are being said, what we do is that when it says here that the forces say that they have retaken the prison seized by ISIS, an FDA spokesman has showed a photo of militants surrendering inside the prison. The Hadith-led militia Lyons say that it has regained full control in the northern eastern Syria seized by the Islamic group or the Islamic State ISIS group 6 days ago. A spokesman for the US has said from the SDF. Now, when we look at this, and based upon how it says that they have retaken the prison, okay? But that happened 6 days ago, that we come here and we look at the principles pertaining to the 6 days of creation. So we look at that particular principle, and it brings us right here to the 6th day of creation, but it is revealing how that the man was created. And then as well, based upon his creation, it reveals how the Yahweh had put him in a deep sleep, opened him up and took a rib and a womb and then created the woman and allowed the two to be here, okay? So now when we come here and we look at the things that have manifested on the 6th day of creation, based upon we have the principle of life, and then as well, we have a principle of death, okay, manifesting within the same principles of the 6th day of creation. And then we look at the principles of how that the creator rested within his creation on the Sabbath day, okay? And we have went over these particular things and shared with you in former lecture these particular principles. So what we will do is we're gonna come in, we're gonna zoom in a little bit more so that you can see a lot clearly based upon what we're just talking about, how that there was a siege of the prison that had manifested 6 days ago. So what we do is that we will start here pertaining to the 6th day and come all the way back to the 1st day of creation. And what we see right here is a manifestation of when Yahweh Elohim has spoke, and he said, let there be light, to eradicate all of this darkness that's manifesting right here, which is a principle of chaosis, like how we just read within the article, how that all the things that was happening within the prison was very chaotic, okay? So when we look at that and we see right here, based upon C, that this is the principle of the chaoticness right here, which is also manifest in the part of the space of the deep. Here Yahweh Elohim said that there be light to eradicate this particular darkness. And within that, we understand just how simple it is because it goes according to what Yahweh Elohim said, but then at the same time, we have to go back to see really what consisted within the chaoticness in the realm of eternity pertaining to what took place on the first day of creation. So now that takes us, when we look at this particular principle and this particular ecology on what it is revealing to us, that it allows us to go within the divine vision and revelation of our founder to extract the principles of what it was talking about, or the things pertaining to the days of creation, because it spoke of how that this took place 6 days ago. Now that brings us here, okay? And when we come here and we're talking about the things, it's like we was talking about before the first day of creation, you see right here. And what we have done previously in our lectures, that we always start here and look at the principles of the cosmogony, the chaos in the first day of creation, because there is something that is very, very unique that takes place within these three particular plates, okay? And so therefore, these three particular plates, which goes according to this threefold enchantable tabernacle, depicts and express everything that takes place within the creation once it comes into the creative age, okay? Now we're still within the creative age, but this is spiritual creative age, and then this is the physical part of the creative age, okay, pertaining to the days of creation. Now, when we look at what had happened, when we talk about what happened 6 days ago, and we're looking at these particular principles, okay, and we share with you how this is chaosis, all right, and then here is the first day of creation, eradicating that particular darkness. What we must do is to show you what took place within these two plates, what is not regularly understood or seen here, to show you the reason why that the heavens had became dark, okay? And then Yahweh Elohim had to eradicate this particular darkness. And when we come here and we look at those particular principles, that it brings us right here to the angelic transgression, okay? And so if you had noticed previously that when you're looking at the days of creation, so let me go back just a little bit, okay? And here is the fourth day of creation. You have a spirit law right there. Here is the fifth day. You have a spirit heart there. Here you have the sixth day. You have a part there, okay? Now that's 6 days of creation. Then you come here and you look at this particular part, and then this is showing you something, because this is picking up another part as well as another attribute. Because when you look at how, when we come back here, that we have 9 major attributes, or divine attributes manifesting right here. These 9 major attributes have taken on shape and form within the creation, okay? And based upon them taking on their manifestation within the creation, that each one of these attributes in like manner almost has a day. Now here, we shared with you that this was the attribute of wisdom, okay? Because it took divine wisdom right here when Yahweh Elohim had divided between spirit and matter. Here, that when we look at the principles pertaining to the attribute, this becomes the attribute of knowledge, okay? We manifest in each. And the reason why that this is the attribute knowledge is because pertaining to the scripture, how Yahweh Elohim said that he knows those who are his, okay? When we come here and we look at the principles of this particular attribute, that it comes back to our foundation, okay? To show you how that the whole entire creation, that the foundation of physical creation came into life. So here we have wisdom, here we have knowledge, here we have foundation. When we come to the other days of creation, and we're looking at how the attributes manifest themselves pertaining to the days of creation, and we shared with you how this was knowledge, this was foundation. This one is strength, okay? And we're showing you the principles of strength because Yahweh Elohim divided the waters above and those beneath and with firmament in the middle. And no one, I have not found anyone who was able, okay, to divide water and hold waters up in heaven. And then you have these waters down here beneath. So this is why did I come to the conclusion that Yahweh Elohim revealed to me that this particular heart was a manifestation of the attribute of strength. Here is kind of quite evident what this one would be, especially with the women, because women love flowers. So therefore, when we come here and we look at that particular principle, we all top knows that means perfection and all that beauty there, that depicts up the attribute of beauty. When we come here and we look at this particular day of creation and Yahweh Elohim putting the sun in the sky, and that being the most powerfulest planet or star in the whole entire universe. And so therefore, this would manifest the attribute of power. Here, when we come here and we look at this particular attribute, that this would be the attribute of intelligence, which manifested right here, okay? And when we come here to the man, and Yahweh Elohim had put his spirit within the heart and mind of man, that we come here, and by Yahweh putting his spirit inside of us, that this is the attribute of love, okay? Manifesting right here on the sixth day of creation. And so therefore, when we come all the way down to our last, ninth and last attribute, that it leaves us with the attribute of justice. And so therefore, this has allowed us to come here. And so therefore, pertaining to the principles of justice, we understand how Yahweh Elohim, based upon here with the angelic transgression, we see the eradication of those angels that was there here, which allowed us to come here to the first day of creation to see how Yahweh Elohim had eradicated the darkness, which is right here. You see here. And it went from being up here based upon he said that there be light, and then allowed it to manifest here. And here's your chaosis. And so therefore you come here. And then we see within the scriptures when we look at this, that this is what it is talking about, how Yahweh Elohim have reserved them in everlasting darkness until the day of judgment. Okay. And Yahweh Elohim said, let there be light there. It was just to remove them, okay, out of heaven, okay, or the kingdom, I should say. And so therefore, by them being here, that's within space, okay? Because we understand that when we're looking at this, and this happened here, okay, that you see how that the spirit of Elohim is moving upon the face of the deep, and then you see chaosis there, what you see here, that is revealing to you how that this is spiritual wickedness in high places. Because this is manifesting here when you see this darkness, and this is taking place before Yahweh Elohim had divided the waters above from those beneath. This is showing you how that the chaos was upon the waters, not within the waters, because the waters have not been divided yet. So therefore, this evil satanic spirit could not touch the Virgin Mother Earth. It was pure, you understand? Based upon this showing you how that spirit was materialized, okay? All right, and so therefore, this is how that you come in conclusion with the attributes taken on their manifestation within the days of creation to show you how each attribute had taken on shape and form within the physical creation. Now that's pertaining to what it was talking about, pertaining to the 6 days of creation. Now, when we come here and it talks about that this particular, the gain control of the northeastern Sarim, all right? That when we look at this particular principle, that I guess the best way to be able to describe that is for us to come here to the vision that's being revealed, because as I said, it is one and the same. It's just showing you different parts of the vision of our founder, because his is placed in many different, places, and in regards to the 40 plate chart. And we can still pick up those fundamental principles because you're going to see them, okay? Now, when we share with you this particular principle of how these particular angelic hosts is housed in everlasting darkness until the day of judgment, it's the same thing that you're seeing with this darkness manifest all the way around the edge of this particular chart, okay? So now when we come here and it's talking about the northeastern, and here is north and here is east. peace. We understand how Lucifer said that I will rise above all the stars in the north, okay? And that I will be like the Most High. Now, here's all the stars in the north, and he said that you would be above, okay? He was talking about Lucifer, talking about Satan, all right? And so therefore, when we look at that, here is the 1/3 host of this particular beast that had a fight with Michael and his angels, okay? So now we're looking at how they, here's the tail or the lie, okay, which is the tail of this particular dragon, which is the serpent, okay, that speak great swelling words that deceive, you know what I'm saying, the whole entire world. And so therefore, when we're looking at these fallen stars right here that are manifesting as whited sepulchres, you understand that this is the principle of death that is manifesting within the world right now, pertaining to how Yahweh is destroying the kingdom of this particular malefic creature, okay? And so when we're looking at that and we're seeing how they are housed in darkness, we see how from this state of existence that are right here. Let me kind of zoom in because I want you to be able to see these things and understand them just how I'm seeing them, okay? I want to come up and do the vision a little bit justice so that you can understand and see these particular principles based upon the things that Yahweh have me sharing at this particular time, okay? So now, as I said, that here is Lucifer, and here we're looking at the principles of, like I said, north, all right? And this is the 1/3 host that is talking about based upon the serpent, and here are the white sepulchres around Alpha Draconis, or we understand Pharaoh, or Viceroy, the son of God, okay, pertaining to the principles of our apostasy plate, okay, which is plate 37, okay? And we just shared with you on the founding vision how this is the spiritual wickedness in high places, and how that the satanic creature was placed within this eternal darkness. Now, when it's talking about the northeastern, here when we come here and we're looking at how these are those who are captive pertaining to the principles, fulfilling the principles of Isis, okay? Because these are in everlasting chains of darkness, like they are in prison, all right? And so therefore, when we come down here, we look at the same principle, because here we see how based upon how we went from the 4th day of creation to show you fallen stars, that we go back to the 3rd day of creation, picking up the principles of the tree of knowledge of good and of evil, and this is the principle of the evil seed pertaining to the great frogs of the dragon, okay, which is Satan ministers that we have here. So when we're looking at these individuals here who was listening to the doctrine of this satanic creature through his imps right here, all right, that this is principle of, like I said, the ISIS state group or the jihadist group being locked in prison, because these satanic creatures are being housed in everlasting chains of darkness until the day of judgment, all right? So therefore, when we read this particular ecology and we're hearing how, like I said, these particular individuals from ISIS were in prison, they was trying to do a jailbreak, it is no different based upon how these, like I said, these satanic creatures are within everlasting darkness trying to get out. They're trying to break out. They can't, okay? So that's what's manifesting right here and what we are reading. So these are the principles that we are correlating to the things that we are reading within this particular article. It says here that a spokesman from the U.S. backside when Democrat forces, the FDF, and Al-Daesh terrorists inside of Pasaka, Roman prison, has surrendered. Several hundred children detainees were also trapped in the facility. With them, at least 181 people have reportedly been killed in clashes since ISIS tried to stage a mass breakout on Thursday. So let us stop right there. Now, when we look at these particular principles and we come right back here and we look at the congregation, and we can see how that here, those, let us do it like this, okay? I want to focus in so that you can centrally grasp these particular principles. Like I said, it's not about me. I'm not trying to just, be seen. I want you to really understand these particular principles of the Father and what we're talking about, okay? And when we come here, like I said, and this is the principle of what it's talking about, when we're looking at the ISIS group in prison, and it says how there were 700 children that were detained. These individuals that you see within the green, okay, or which are the green leaf seed of this evil tree, okay, or like they say, if fruit don't fall far from the tree, that's what this is, okay. But here, everybody that's in green, you can look as far as the adults of those of the jihadis and the ISIS, and those that you see with this dots right there, which is heads, okay, and manifest the principle of the children, you understand, saying that was being captured by those as a shield, you understand? Now, I want you to see this like this, because if these children are the shield of them, okay, here is the eye of Yahweh looking upon them, okay? Now, this takes us all the way back to the principles that had took place within the Red Sea when the children of Israel was coming out of the land of Egypt to and through the divided waters of the Red Sea, okay? So it takes us all the way back to that particular night, okay, which was the third watch, okay, and it was the 6 to the 9th hour, okay. So this is a manifestation of, okay, and the same principles apply pertaining to when Yahshua, the Messiah, was on the cross, right? So now, if here this is Yahweh looking in the midst of the cloud, and this is when he troubled the Egyptians, and to allow them to drive heavily, okay, within the Red Sea, because he took off their wheels, and now you understand they are in fear because Yahweh is getting ready to allow the waters to be rolled back upon the Pharaoh and his host within the Red Sea. And this is the eye of Yahweh looking, okay, at them on the third watch that speaks about over there within the scriptures. If we go over there and read over there in Exodus about them, Exodus about the land of Egypt. So when we come here, you can see how the eye is looking at these particular individuals who are portraying Pharaoh and his host. We're talking about 600 chariots, 600 men, and 600 horses, giving up the principles of 666. Okay, 666, which is the mark of the beast. Okay, that here you can see how the children are before the elders. So therefore, you can see how they were put there as a shield because Yahweh is looking on them this way. So this is how you can see how the children were a shield to the ISIS group or the jihadists manifesting themselves right here, okay? So this is how you see that particular principle manifest right here, all right? And it says that at least 181 people had been killed in clashes since ISIS tried to stage a massive breakout on Thursday, okay? So when we look at the principles of 181, okay, that we understand that one, it allows us to be able to look at principles of Adam, just, just for the sake of understanding. What we would do is just move farther over so we can see each particular thing. That's sort of tangible. I said 181 individuals. Okay, so that brings us right back over here. And when we take the 181 and we add them together, what we do is we can run that particular principle a couple of ways. And let me show you what I mean. Now, here is a 1 in the face of Abel, which is also a manifestation of Adam, because he was the first man who was created. The first physical man we understand was Cain. So what we do in those regards is that here we manifest this principle. We can always come to, like I said, Cain and Abel here. But what we're going to do is just take it back to the first man, because this is what this is a representation of. So we come here as the 1, okay? Being the man Adam. You see the 1 in his face here, and then we have a 1 here when we look at how Elohim is standing upon a sapphire stone. And we see this as the first Adam. Okay, so this is 1, and this is 1. Now what we do is that we take this particular circle, which is the manifestation of the moon, okay, it's the top part of the 8. And then we come here and acquire the foundation of the satanic foundation. And what we do is that we come like this, and we come up and we get this, okay, and this is showing you your 8 right here, okay? If you look at it, this is your 8, all right, right here. This is what binds the 8 right here. When we come right here, we come around, and come this way, we come around, and come back up through this. And this fire, okay, is what binds the principle of the top circle and the bottom. So we got 1, here's your 8, and here's your 1, okay? Now, principally, when you look at this, when we got 1, 8, 1, then when we add those numbers together, it gives us the principle of 10, and showing you principles pertaining to the law of Moses that are being broken. You understand? And that's pertaining to the principles of how it says that 181 people have been reportedly killed, to show you how that the first law has been done away with, pertaining to the 181 that was killed, all right? Because this principle asks the principle of 10, because 8 plus 1 is 9, and then the other one makes it 10. So therefore that brings us to the law, okay, right here when we're looking at this particular part. You understand in Moses, when we look here, okay, revealing based upon his anger because of the transgression of the children of Israel through the 10 commandment law down. And so therefore you have Moses doing that here, okay, same principles apply. It's like when we come to the divine vision of revelation of our founder, and we come here and we're looking at how Moses was on the plateau of the mountain after he heard distress within the camp, and we come here to show you the same principles manifest on the divine vision and revelation of our founder here. So that allows us to come here and we observe these particular principles. When we come here, we look at this, all right? And so here we have Moses doing the law, right? And so as I said, that's given the principle of the 181 pertaining to that of those individuals who have died, because we understand that those individuals died up under the law, okay, right here, right? And the principles of those individuals who died here, okay? So this is what we're talking about, okay? So let us move on within the ecologies. And so now it says here, oh, I didn't pick up that particular principle too, very, very important. Look at this too. Now it says that this happened on Thursday, okay? But what we must do is look at the days of the week and come to the day of Thursday to see what we can acquire. So when we come here and see that this is Saturday, we got a twofold operation that manifested on Friday, because we understand that Yahshua died on Friday. Here is Saturday. Okay, so we come here as the Sabbath, and here Yahshua was resting within the tomb, just like how Elohim is resting here, okay? After his work, because this is after Yahshua's work, so he's resting, okay? Now here's Saturday, here's Friday, and it brings us to the 5th day of creation, okay, which is the day of Thursday when this particular incident has happened. So that brings us here when we look at the 5th day of creation, when Yahweh Elohim had created the ontological and biological kings. All right, so let us look on the 40-page chart, so this will allow you to understand what is manifesting on the 5th day of creation, right? So that brings us right here, all right? So what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to zoom in, because I want you to acquire this particular principle here, okay? Now, ontological and biological kings, and then as well as the reptiles and everything, and we see the spirit of animation entering through the earth plane, all right? Now, these are the kingdoms right here. This is pertaining to the kingdoms that Yahweh Elohim has established pertaining to life manifesting within the world. So when we look at things pertaining to the 5th day of creation, that this is going pertaining to how Yahweh Elohim has established all kingdoms of the earth, or all kingdoms of the world, okay, right here. Now, as well, when we look at this, and it's talking about Thursday, and it was a prison break, okay, that takes us and it leads us unto, when we look within the, I believe it's the, what is that, the 7th chapter of Revelation, no, I'm sorry, it's the 16th chapter of Revelation. When we understand how Yahweh Elohim is pouring out his 7 vials or 7 bowls of wrath upon the earth, brings us right back here when we're looking at that pertaining to the kingdom, okay? So what happens is that when we look at that, right, and we're talking about this, okay, that's manifested right up here. Let us show you what we're talking about, all right? When we're coming here and showing you this here, which is this. The 7 vials or bowls of Yahweh's wrath, okay? And here you see how you got this particular angel right here holding this particular bowl. And you see the whiteness right here because it's manifesting the wrath that he's getting ready to pour out based upon the permission that Yahweh Elohim gives these particular angels to pour out at this particular time, okay? So now we're looking at these particular principles here, right, pertaining to the 7 vials. So that brings us, when it's talking about Thursday, what we do spiritually and psychologically, because we understand what Yahweh Elohim is doing pertaining to his purpose, and we're talking about the 7 vials that the 7 angels are pouring out upon the earth, that it brings us right here because it was talking about Thursday. Is that correct, class? All right. Now, Thursday would bring us to the 5th day of creation, okay? Let's go back to show you, all right? So you can be 100% sure what I'm talking about. Here's Thursday, here's Friday. We know that Yahweh Elohim had rested, but it won't show that here, okay? So here's Friday and here's Thursday, which is the 5th day of creation. Here's the 6th day, okay? All right, so you know that this is Friday because it says 6th day of creation. We don't have to go through all of this, okay? Let's make it simple, all right? This is the 5th day, so this is Thursday, all right? So what we do is that we extract this 5th day according to the 7 vials that Yahweh Elohim is pouring upon the face of the earth. And so what we're going to do is, because there's 7 vials and 7 angels, we're going to go to what the 5th angel is doing, okay? So therefore, we understand that when we look at the biological and ontological kings, and this is the setting up of kingdoms, you understand what I'm saying? And here we see the spirit of animation entering into the earth and allowing everything to move here, that this is what the principle that we have to keep in mind, establishment of kingdoms, okay? And the 5th day is going to be applied to the 5th angel, all right? Because we have the days of creation and we have these parts right here, which is the spoken word of Yahweh Elohim, or the laws of Yahweh that has to manifest within each day of creation, okay? Because that was revealed pertaining to what happened in Genesis when Moses is revealing the 7-day sequence, all right? And then we understand that based upon when John on the Isle of Patmos said, when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices and he began to write this, the angel said, do not write. And that was the reason why that we learned from our founder, was because Moses had already wrote what the 7 thunders had already wrote, and that was pertaining to the days of creation with the 7 angels, okay? Now, here brings us right back here, because I said it's going to take us back to the 5th angel. Now, when we go to Revelations and we look at what the 5th angel was doing, is that he poured darkness upon the seat of the beast, okay? And this is what we have right here. This is why we have, this is the Vatican City. These are the 7 hills of the Vatican City that's manifesting right here, all right? And so therefore, this is the Vatican, and he is pouring darkness all within the Vatican right here, and upon the and this is the tiara that the Pope used to wear before our founder told him that the numbers of the tiara, which says Vials, Phil, Lee, D, Day, okay, that these particular, if you look right here on the side right here, that every last one of these particular letters are Roman numerals that has a Roman numeral significance, and the numbers of it is equivalent to 666, which we have manifesting right here, okay? And so therefore, when we look at that, that when our founder has sent that information to the Pope, that he dedicated this particular tiara to charity and no longer wore it, okay? And so therefore, this is the principle of how the 5th angel had poured darkness upon the seat of the beast, or poured darkness within the kingdom of Satan, manifesting right here. So it takes us all the way back to show you that here, if Yahweh Elohim had cast all those particular satanic spirits within the ethereal darkness until the day of judgment, in here pertaining to the physical creation, that this has become a physical representation of all those evil satanic creatures, and he was judged pertaining to our creator manifesting in our founder and saying that the Vatican City was going to fall fatter than the fritter, because that was the seat or throne of the devil, okay, manifesting right here, all right? So this is what we have here, right? And we're looking at that. And so that brings us, when we come to the divine vision and revelation of our founder, that brings us to the apostasy plate, okay? To show you the same thing, all right? I want both charts. They must coincide with one another. One cannot say anything any different from the other, because then if it does, then it is not of Yahweh. All right. So that brings us here. Okay. Brings us to the apostasy plate. Here's that angel right there, pouring darkness upon the seat of the beast. That's manifesting right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, because on the floor of what you're looking at is going to have the accurate account numbers of what that tiara is saying, and showing you based upon the Roman numeral of their particular alphabet. And when we come here, that it is showing you the principles of 666 based upon what we were talking about when I was showing you the tiara, all right? Now here you see the angel manifesting right there. You see how the angel is pouring darkness upon the seat or the throne of the St. Peter's Vatican. Here we are showing you the numerical account of what Vials means right here, to show you how it is equivalent to 666 and the mark of the beast, and taking you back into darkness, all right? Which is showing you how that this darkness, when we come back just a little bit, is going to retain to you the principles of darkness, of how that it is chaotic here, showing you the persecution, and then how when they killed Yahshua upon the cross based upon the darkness. All right, that's manifesting right here. So you got 1, 2, 3. And this is showing you how that this darkness is that darkness, all right, that originated from the beginning, how it says that it was chaotic. And this is how that you see chaotic manifesting right here. And this is what is said based upon in this particular article, that these things that were happening over here in Damascus was chaotic. So this is to show you the principle of darkness based upon what it was talking about on Thursday. And so therefore, if that angel is pouring darkness upon the seat of the beast, this is showing you the principles of how that they regain the prison and restoring the darkness back and putting them right back in the darkness that they tried to escape. Okay, so that's what that is the principle of. And I thought that you might have found that very, very beautiful, because let me share something with you. I certainly did. Okay, all right. So this is to reveal to you those particular principles, what it is talking about on Thursday. Okay, and taking you right back to show you what was in the beginning based upon when Yahweh Elohim had placed them in eternal darkness here to be judged until the great day. All right. So the same thing that happened in the beginning, okay, just like how we showed you, is what's happening in the end. So I hope that if you look at it like that, based upon what I said, that you would understand my opening statements when I was talking about things pertaining to the influenza, and then kind of correlating that to the coronavirus in our modern day time. All right. So now this is the proof based upon the things that I have stated earlier in my opening statements, even before we started Barney College. So this is the principle to show you how that what happened in the beginning is the same thing that's going to manifest within the end, just by these particular principles, seeing how Yahweh had it chaotic, and Yahweh said that there be light, created the creation, okay, all the way down, showing you the things of the law, and just showing you how death reigned from Adam unto Moses, but how submitted to the Adam's transgression. And then this is the law, this is the fulfillment of the law. And then this is showing you the ascension and resurrection of Yahshua Messiah and those who believe, even us, the Gentiles who have been engrafted into the body of the Messiah. And then when we come here to the persecution plate, it is showing how that all those who believe in Yahshua that has been resurrected, okay, have been persecuted. All right. And so therefore, here is the principle of judgment, that this is the reason why those who are housed in everlasting darkness, you know, the judgment of Yahweh Elohim, when they shall be destroyed by fire, pertaining to the consummation of Yahshua Messiah. But that is the explanation of these particular circles that we have here at the bottom of the 40 plate chart. And they also manifest themselves upon the pattern plan of salvation. Okay, and we will reveal to you that as well. So the same exact principles in here, it is here. This is the manifestation of those particular circles here, okay? And so now let us go back and see what we can extract. It says they include 124 militants and inmates and 50 police, SDF fighters and prison guards, according to the Sovereign Observatory for Human Rights, the UK-based monitoring group reported on Wednesday afternoon that the SDF was mostly in control of the but it warned that militants might still be hiding in cells and sections that have not been searched. Okay, so now it's talking about how that some of them still may be hiding. And it says that it was 124 militants, okay? 1, 2, 4, which will give us the principles of 7 when we look at that, right? So it says 124 militants, okay? So what we do is that when we look at that, and it's talking about 124, you know, that's quite simple when we look at those particular principles. We come here as well, and what we do is we come to the physical creature. We extract the 1 from his face, okay? We come here just like we extracted the 1 from Adam's face, okay? Which looks like the fiery cloud. You see this red man here, it's the principles of Adam being a red man, and the fiery cloud is a representation of the dust of the ground that formed the man, all right, which is correlated to the fiery ambit that's going all the way around the edge of this chart. You can see the orange here, okay? This is a representation of what we got created out of love, okay? And then to show you that in the scripture, it says that our Elohim is a consuming fire, all right? So that should feel that. Now here, when we come here and pick up the principles of 1, okay? We come here, all right? This is the 1. We come here, and what we do is, it takes us right back to the Vatican. And what we do is that we extract his 2 witnesses, okay? Just follow me. We got the 1. Here, we're going to extract the principles of Janus and Jambres, okay? As well as the 2 witnesses, okay? Him trying to be like the Most High, he got to have his 2 archangels, okay? His 2 witnesses, or his 2 faithful witnesses, okay? He's trying to be like the Most High. So here we come extract the 2, all right? So we showed you the 1, here is the 2. And then what we do from there, we come up here because it's talking about the militants, and then we extract the 4 heads of this particular dragon, all right, which is the 124. And so therefore we come here, we pick up the principles of Babylon, Media, Persia, and Capsize. So therefore that is of year 124, and showing you and providing the principle of the body of the militants, okay, that it's talking about, that's manifesting in the jail or within prison, okay? So this is what that is talking about, to show you those particular principles, okay? Now, we come back, and then we continue to go on. And it says that some still hide. We already picked up that particular principle because they were in darkness, so that's what they're going to do. Some of them are still hiding. We can come and find, you know, and those hiding in the darkness, still some may be in there, right? It says that some 12,000 men and teenage boys detained during the war against ISIS in overcrowded prisons, okay, in areas of the northeastern Syria under its control, as well as 60,000 women and young boys in lockup camps, right? So when it's talking about the principle of 1,200, okay, and it says men and teenage boys, all right? This is how we extract that. We come here and we extract the 1 from Adam, okay? And then when we come here, we extract the principle of 2. So this is the 12, 1, 2 makes the principle 12, all right? Pick up the principle of the 12,000 men and teenage boys, okay? Because why? Here, the first 1 is representation of the first man, and this is picking the principle of men, okay? Because he was the first man. And so therefore, we come here to the 2, and this is the second Adam, okay, to fulfill the principle of the first Adam. But we understand that Yahshua had to grow up as a boy, and he was 12 years old. You understand what I'm saying? And when we look at the principles of how Yahshua, the Messiah, was 12 years old when he came up out of the land of Egypt. So the principles out of Egypt, I call my son, and therefore we shared with you prior to, within probably maybe a day or so ago, with the ecology of how we picked up the principle how Yahshua was not amongst the camp as when they went to do the Passover in Jerusalem. It says Mary had went back 3 days, okay? 1, 2, 3, to look for Yahshua, to find him, but then found him within the temple. Preaching, you understand, to the Pharisees and scribes. That's what you found him and said, me and your father was worried about you, but Yahshua said that I must be about my father's business, okay? Talking about the heavenly Father. And it says that Mary had pondered those things within her heart. So that brings us right back to show you the principle of 12,000 men and boys, okay? Pertaining to the principle of how Yahshua had to grow up to the age of 30, you know what I'm saying, as a man. Okay, just to show you those particular principles. It says they were detained during the war against ISIS, okay? It says in areas of the north, it says well was 60,000 women and young boys locked in camps, okay? Now, when we look at the 60,000, it brings us right back, as I said, to the sixth day of creation. And now it's talking about how that it was 60,000 women and young boys locked in camps, all right? Now, this shows you how to look at the woman, and she's housed in this everlasting chain of darkness, showing how she is locked in a camp. And she was created on the sixth day of creation, and she's showing you the principle of the woman. Here, when we're showing you her children within her womb or within her stomach manifesting right here, this is to fulfill the principles of how it was 60,000 women and boys, okay? Because these are the children that's within her womb. She was created on the sixth day of creation like a man was, because it was a double operation, all right? Now let us go here to the divine wisdom and revelation of our founder to authenticate that and prove that to you, to show you when we come here that this is the sixth day of creation. So men, okay? And so therefore we come here and we see the sixth day of creation. All right, when a man was created, you know, picking the dust of the ground, and here we're looking at the operation to show you when the woman was being created based upon those particular principles. So it allows us to be able to come right here to show you the principle of the six, to show you the principle of the 6,000 of principles of women and boys. Okay, so this is how that we see these particular. Okay, all right. Now, when we further go on, it says here that the attacks on the Caribbean prison on Thursday night was the biggest ISIS operation since jihadist military defeated in Syria in 2019. Now, it shared with you how that it talked about that Thursday night. Here, when you look at the chart or the vision that's being revealed, that we're showing you principles of how that we look at the darkness that is night. So this is showing you the principles of Thursday night, okay, and showing you how that fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast. Now, why did it have to be Thursday night? Because I showed you here on the vision that it took us back to the fifth day of creation when kings were being established, and then that fifth angel had poured his vial of darkness, okay, upon the seat of the beast. All right. So now here is revealing that to me, talking about how Thursday night was the biggest operation since the jihadist group had defeated the military in Syria in 2019. Curious, huh? Coincidence, huh? And wrong. This is the prophecy of Yahweh Elohim. He is telling his story. This thing is airtight, but we have to understand and look into the purpose of Yahweh Elohim to be able to understand the spiritual things that he is saying based upon the spiritual things that we are extracting. And it goes back to what we teach within our school system about the principle of the scripture, Romans 1:19 and 20, okay? Now, it says that sleeper cells use explosives to blow holes in the outer walls and enter the facility to free fellow jihadists among the estimated 4,000 male inmates, okay? Now, when we look at that, all right, it says that they use explosives, all right, to blow holes in the walls, in the outer walls, and enter into the facility. That brings us right back here to show you the destruction of the World Trade Center, and we always come here to show you explosions, buildings collapsing, fires, things of that particular nature, that this is the portion of it right here. And so therefore, when it says that they use explosives to blow holes in the outer walls. This is where we come here because this was an explosion that blew up based upon the principles of these particular buildings and the outer walls. Okay, it says 4,000 estimate of 4,000 inmates. Okay, so now when we look at the principle of it says an estimate of 4,000. All right, that we shared with you that here within the particular chart that we show you 4, 40, 400, 4,000, and basically the zeros are placeholders. So what we would do is to extract that particular principle, okay, that we come here and pick up the 4 banners of Yahweh Elohim, okay, which is the eagle, the lion, okay, E for L, which is the eagle, the L for lion, the O for oxen, and HIM for him, showing you Elohim, and this is picking up the principles of your 4,000, okay? It says because they were free, all right? All right. It says hundreds of SDF fighters, members, and the allied Assacious security forces battled to take the prison with the help of US fighter jets, helicopters, and armored vehicles. The SDF said 23 prison guards held hostage had been freed. Okay, now that is just beautiful right there, right? Now what I want to do is take you and show you the principles of 2 and 3, all right? Now 2 and 3, what we can do is that we wanted to extract those particular principles from the vision. But that would bring us right here to the veil, when Yahshua had rent the veil of the flesh, and then the same principles had manifested within the tabernacle of Yahweh Elohim. So when we come here to see what the 2 and the 3 is talking about, when we come right here, that is extracting these particular principles of the crucifixion and the anti-Messiah based upon the persecution. And so therefore, when we're looking at what it is talking about, how that these were prison guards who were held hostage. And when we look at the particular principle here, that when Yahshua went to death, burial, and resurrection, that he let the captives free. Okay? And we know this when we look at the scriptures. So this is how we come here to 3. I said, man, this thing is beautiful, man. This gospel, man, is so beautiful, man. This is why I'm so in love with our Creator. You understand? Because, man, when he reveals these beautiful esoteric secrets based upon the things that he reveals to us in the news, man, it's an overwhelming feeling, man, that almost makes you want to cry, but you're so happy at the same time that the true creator of the stellar universe that created everything is talking to you and revealing these things to you so that you may be able to share them with your brothers that have the same love, okay, for the same thing that you have, okay? And that's being in love with Yahshua, the Messiah, based upon him, the Spirit within us, in our hearts and in our minds. Now, also as well, when we look at the principle here, and we come in here and we're showing the principle of Pentecost, that when we take the 2 and 3 and add it together, that's the principle of 5, okay? And so we can look at both things. We got the evening in the morning, okay, showing you the persecution and the end of that, okay? So this is what had manifested, but then this is the flip side of the negative and the positive. And so he's showing you this thing based upon what it's talking about, the veil, okay? And so therefore the 2 and 3 prison guards who were held hostage had been freed, okay? It says more than 1,000 militants and other inmates had surrendered before the spokesman of Fahad Shahami, or Shahmi, announced the end of the operation on Wednesday afternoon, okay? Now, let us come back to the divine vision and revelation of our founder and see what we can extract from the principles of what it's talking about on Wednesday, which we understand to be the 4th day of creation in Yahweh Elohim, the sun, and stars within the heavens. Okay, I'm just trying to get a more better picture so that we can be able to see principles a little more clearly. Eradicate theories, concepts, and opinions. Oops, okay, well, apologize for that. understand. There we go. All right. Okay. So it allows us to be able to come here to look at the things that's manifested on the fourth day of creation that is talked about Wednesday. All right. And it says within this particular ecology, let me go back to see the principle that manifests on Wednesday, make sure that we get it right. It says that it was the end of the operation on Wednesday afternoon. We come here and see, pertaining to Wednesday, how Yahweh Elohim put the sun, moon, and star. Sun, moon, and stars here. So my afternoon brings right here to the holy place, okay? Which shows the division between winter and spring. Now, the division between winter and spring is showing you principles firstly and foremost when we look at that this is a beginning and ending of a equinox and a solstice. Okay, that's manifested right here. We got winter and summer solstice and spring equinox. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. Then we have equinox and we have solstice, and so therefore here is showing and revealing the principle of how both of them are manifested here. Now, when we look at spring and we look at winter, that spring is a manifestation of a resurrection, and winter is a manifestation of death. So here it's the principle here, revealing to you how the principle of life and death manifesting right here. It goes on to say that 700 children, who the SDF said have been used as human shields by ISIS militants and inmates. He told the Voice of America had the safety of the children not being a major concern. Could we have finished this operation in 1 or 2 days with the heavy operation, heavy weapons? The UN Children's Agency, UNICEF, said on Tuesday night, okay? So now when it's talking about Tuesday, that brings us right here, okay, to the third day of creation. It's talking about Tuesday night. That brings us right here. Because Tuesday night will reveal the principles of how the Holy Spirit is penetrating the earth plane to hold the waters back to allow the vegetation to be able to appear. So this is the principle of Tuesday night here. It says that Tuesday night that it had received deeply worrisome reports of fatalities amongst children trapped in a facility and called on all parties to allow them to evacuate safely. Some distance had sent audio messages saying that they had seen bodies of several children and warning that there was no food, water, or medicine, right? Now here, when it talks about, like I said, come here, it talks about the principle of, like I said, Tuesday. Yes, talking about Tuesday night. And it brings us right back here, okay? And then how it goes on to say, it's talking about the bodies of children and how there was no food or water or medicine, okay? Now I want you to understand right here that when you're looking at the principles of the third day of creation, that here is your food, here is your water, and from plants, okay, and herbs, this is where we extract all of our medicines from, okay? Takes you right back here to the third day of creation, right? Because it's talking about food, water, and medicine. These are all the principles talked about on Tuesday, bringing you right here to reveal you what happened on the third day of creation, which is principle as the day of Tuesday. Man, thing is airtight, okay? Yahweh in his perfection. This gospel is airtight. Okay, now when it's talking about how they said they have seen several bodies of children, what does that pertain to? That means that this brings us right back to these same very principles that happened at the beginning. What to do is come right back to the divine vision and revelation of our founder, and then show you what it is talking about, how it says that there were children, okay, excuse me, there were bodies of several children. They had seen several bodies of several children and warning that there was no food, okay? Now that brings us right here. We're gonna show you a body of a child right here. It's manifesting right here in the beginning, right? Now, if you know the story of what happened with Cain and Abel, that Cain had offered the fruits of his harvest unto Yahweh and it was not pleasing. Now, Abel had offered up a lamb to Yahweh because at this particular time, it was not about the fruits or the fruits of the spirit. It was about blood sacrifices, which was the remissions of sin. And like it says, without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sins. And so therefore, this is what manifested here because of what took place here. And so therefore, when Cain killed Abel, that we see how Lucifer was his father, okay, because he had deceived the woman and allowed the woman to partake, and that was Adam, right? And so when Satan deceived Adam, the feminine part of Adam, that this is the reason why that based upon their first child, okay, the firstborn became evil because of his father, all right? And so the firstborn had killed his brother, which was his twin brother. And this is the reason why that the children were slain. Now, the reason why that there was no food and no water was because here, when they brought the fruits, you understand what I'm saying, of the spirit, you understand what I'm saying, and he killed his brother, that Yahweh Elohim had cursed him, okay? And then when we go on pertaining to the prophecy, you understand that it rained 40 days because of what manifested here, and Yahweh Elohim had destroyed the world in water, okay? So this is the reason why it was no food or water, and we understand that Noah had to put food and water within his ark to be ready for the rain that Yahweh Elohim was getting ready to rain upon the face of the earth because of man's evilness was continually before Yahweh Elohim. So therefore, we look at those particular principles here. Now, when the man and the woman was in the garden, they had all the food and all the water that they needed. But when they sinned and they had to come out into the world, they did not have any. So this is the reason why there was no food, no water. You understand? Because they had to come up out of the garden. All right. So this is the reason why. And it is telling you the same exact story. So this is why that we have to go back and extract these particular principles to understand what is taking place within these particular articles, what Yahweh Elohim is talking about. Okay. Now here, when it says, okay, they had no food and water, it said that Mrs. Taylor, which is Human Rights, tweeted that she had been in contact with the 18-year-old American. She said American and a Canadian. Here's your 18-year-old American. Right here. All right. Now let me share something with you. I want you to follow these particular principles. It's very, very important. Mark that for. Let's set it up here just for a second. Okay, come in just a little bit. All right. Now it says that there was an 18-year-old American. We come here to extract the one to show you that this is the 8, okay? To show you how this is the 18, all right? So we come here. Now look, we have the principles of red, white, and blue right here when we're showing you the principles of the World Trade Center right here, which is red, white, and blue, to show you the American colors, okay? The reason why that we chose him as being the number of 18 was because 18 is 3 times 6 is 18, which is the number of the mark of the beast, okay? 1-8, okay? So we come here as 1 and we're showing you the 8, and then he was American, showing you these particular principles here. Here's the top portion of the 8. We come down and show you how the fire connects it. We come down, show you the 8. Here's the 1 in his face. This is your 8 to show you the 18 and to show you how he was American when we're showing you the American colors of the World Trade Center based upon the things that had happened in New York pertaining to the World Trade Center, to show you how this was America, the principles of 18 based upon this chaotic creature and the chaoticness. Like I said, 666. You add them together, or times 3 times 6 picks up the principle of 18. There you go. All right. It says that told and a Canadian man inside the prison. He told her, all right, now hold on. This Canadian man inside the prison, because he's still in prison, he's locked up. Okay, to show you that. It says that the woman has spoken to 2 men. Woman speaking to the 2. Okay. Oops, I'm sorry. Y'all cannot see. I'm just preaching away, and y'all can't even see these principles that are running. Like I said, I be thinking y'all in the house with me, you know, but y'all are in the house with me. Okay. So here's a woman from Mrs. I think it was Mrs. Miss Letta Taylor. Okay, Human's Right Watch said she spoke with two men. That's her. The woman spoke to two men. Those are the two men. American boy, 18 years old, one, American, and then the Canadian. Okay, says creation. So since he's the creation, that we equate this one to the Canadian. There's a woman, right? She spoke. Okay. And then it says that 15 to 20 boys could have been killed, and that they feared that they would be shot if they tried to leave. It's hard to guess. Honestly, it's very chaotic, she quoted, okay? There goes the principles of, like I said, it was very chaotic. We come here to show you the principles of chaotic, all right? We can come many places to show you principles of chaotic, and that's what she said. We first and foremost come here to show you chaotic, all right? Then what we do is that we come up here to show you principles of what? Chaotic, again, pertaining to circles, okay? That manifests here, all right? I'll be showing you principles of chaotic, all right? Okay. And then it says that, and she quoted saying that one died in front of me. His leg was busted open, and we tried to stop the bleeding with a shirt. It looked very, very bad, okay? So now when it's talking about how the young man's leg was busted open, I shared with you how this chart is multi-principle. I share with you as well that when you look at the principles of what it's talking about, when it's talking about the principles of woe men, okay? All right. That I share with you here as well, that this can also be principled as a man looking into the kingdom once he has been enlightened by the gospel, by his head, manifesting the principles here on the Ark of the Covenant, okay? So if this can be a man, okay, as well, all right, and a woman, it doesn't make a difference, okay? Because whatever principles that we need to apply, we will. Or if you like, we can come here and show you the same principles manifested here on the man Adam to pick up the same principles of the young man or the boy, okay, when it is saying that how his leg was busted open and he was bleeding, and we tried to stop the bleeding and we could not, okay, we tried to put a shirt on it. We come here and show you the principle of the foundation. It says his leg was busted, that we can show you how that this is principles of the amount of dirt of which created the man. When we come down here, we're looking at how it's read based upon the principles of power and strength and the foundation. And we come here and he said that his leg was busted. But we come here and we look at these particular principles here and show how he bled to death. We come to the man because we understand that when Israel fought with the angel, that the angel hollowed his thigh. Come here and show you that here. And that's the reason why that Israel doesn't eat the cranker, okay, or the hollowing of the thigh, because when Yahweh Elohim had touched Israel, that he hollowed his thigh. So now it takes place to show you that pertains to the principle of the leg. As well, we can come here and see how fire, with either her two legs or his two legs, that the explosion, okay, and he bled to death. You understand what I'm saying? That we see how this is the manifestation here. This is to show you how the young man's leg was busted, he bled to death, because this is showing you the principle of blood dripping based upon the sacrifices of Yahshua, and as well as manifesting, like I said, the field of blood, which is Al-Sadama. So therefore, this is showing you that how the young man bled to death based upon his leg being busted open right here, okay? So we wanted to show you those particular principles as well. All right. And then it says that most of the 850 children, some of young as 12 years old, detained in prison without charges. It says that the rest of the nationals of 20 other countries will refuse to repatriate them. It added, okay, so it says while the rest are 20 of the nations, it says it's mostly Syrian and Iraqi boys, all right? So they were just trying to give you an account of the things that was taking place. And so therefore, when you look at the principle of 20, all right, that we share with you, that it can be a principle of a negative and a positive, because it's picking up the alphabet of Resh. And so therefore, when it's talking about the 20 others, it's talking about something okay, because it was giving you account of who was locked up. And so therefore it was showing you how it was not good because the principle was not going to be good. So this is how we learn that. It says that 20 rest means distress, not good, or not pleasing. You understand? And so therefore that's what it's looking at and talking about pertaining to that particular principle there. And then that will conclude the principles in the first ecology. Now, we just went over one ecology, and that practically took us 2 hours, okay, to show you how, when we run these ramifications pertaining to the gospel of Yahshua the Messiah, that it is multi-principle, okay? And so therefore, just like I shared with you before, that sometimes that these particular things will be complete. Sometimes they will be short, but it all depends based upon what Yahweh Elohim is trying to tell us through his creation based upon the things that we share and what he reveals to us based upon the principles which we extract from these particular ecologies that we read, okay? So now as we move along, we come to our second ecology, and it brings us to Florida. Here it states that 1 dead, dozens missing after boat capsized off of Florida. Fishermen found the survivor on Tuesday morning. Oh, excuse me, at least 1 person had died and 38 remained missing after a ship capsized off the coast of Florida on Sunday night. Officials were alerted on Tuesday after a commercial vessel spotted a man clinging to the hull of a boat some 45 miles, 72 kilometers from the city of Fort Pierce. The survivors said the group had left by many in the Bahamas on Saturday night and later encountered foul weather. The boat may have been part of a human smuggling venture. U.S. officials, according to the survivor, who had not been identified, none of the passengers were wearing a life vest. It says, migrant tragedy is biggest loss of life in the English Channel. The search is being led by the Miami Coast Guard using ships and aircrafts. The agency said on Twitter, the Coast Guard, along with other government agencies, is now searching for survivors and debris in the area that is approximately the same size as the U.S. state of New Jersey. On Wednesday morning, Captain Jonah Burdian, the commander of the Coast Guard, Miami sector, said 1 body has been recovered and was being investigated in the hopes of finding other survivors. No further details were released on the nationality of the survivor or the other passengers. Captain Burdian said the incident, which is believed to have taken place as a result of prevailing weather conditions on Sunday, occurred on a normal human smuggling route from the Bahamas into the southern U.S. Conditions on Saturday include a severe cold front, high waves, and strong waves. High waves and strong winds. And so any survivor, she added, would be in a dire situation without food and water in the sea after so many days, she added. The island of Bimini is the westernmost district of the Bahamas and is only 50 miles from Miami. Incidents with vessels crowded with people are not uncommon in the waters of Florida. Many of the cases are involving migrants from Cuba and Haiti in an overloaded ship west of the Bahamas. Trio survivors for 33 days on tiny Bahama islands, navigating the Florida Straits. windward and Mona passengers in overloads, and less than seaworthy vessels is extremely dangerous and can result in loss of life. The Coast Guard said in a statement, the Coast Guard and our partner agencies will continue to stop these voyages. You will be interdicted and should expect to be returned and repatriated to your own country of origin. Wow. Now here, this took place in Florida. And what we do is that here it says that 1 dead and dozens missing after a boat capsized off of Florida, okay? So now when we look at this particular ecology here, that when we look at these particular things here, okay, pertaining to what it is talking about, it says that we have 1 dead, dozen missing after boat capsizes, okay? So what we do is that when we come here to the divine vision and revelation that's being revealed, that when it says how we have 1 dead, that brings us right here to this particular principle here with the physical chaotic creature pertaining to the principles of Cain and Abel. And we understand how that spiritually and psychologically so that after he had murdered his brother, and we're going to extract the same principle from the divine vision and revelation of our founder, because that's what we do. We always authenticate this divine vision and revelation first, all right, and foremost, all right? Now, when it talks about 1 dead, that physically so that we can extract the principle of how Cain killed Abel. That is the one that we will use as the one that's dead, okay? That's the death that we will extract, all right? The reason being because this is extracting principles of positivity. And this is the Lamb of Yahweh pertaining to the principles of Abel, okay? So this is the reason why that when you're looking at these particular numbers of principles of what happened to these individuals, and they are picking up positive numbers, that means that that's a sacrifice that is pertaining to Yahshua and how he fulfilled that by being crucified, okay? So here is showing you principles of the death of 1, right? Okay. Now it says that 1 dead, dozens missing, found man on Tuesday, okay? Now, what we do is that when we look at the principles pertaining to what happened on Tuesday, okay? We come back here to the order to give you these particular principles. Let me move up a little bit, show you what it's talking about when we're talking about Tuesday. We come here to the days of the week. And then we look at the day to understand what took place when Yahweh created the first 7 days of the week. And we can see what happened here to see how it fits with what's being said, all right? Now, Tuesday morning, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday takes us back to the 3rd day of creation. What about Tuesday morning? At least 1 person had died and 38 remained missing after the ship capsized, okay? So now when we come here pertaining to the day Tuesday, which is the 3rd day of creation, that here is when the spirit of Elohim had penetrated the earth, okay? And so therefore it is talking about how that the ship had capsized, okay? Now, we understand that on Monday, that Yahweh Elohim divided the waters above and those beneath the firmament in the middle. Now here is that he's moving upon the face of the deep, and now he's penetrating it, okay? So now when it's talking about how you got 38 missing after the capsizing of the ship, and we're showing you how that this is the principle of the spirit of Elohim or the spirit of Yahshua entering into the heart of the earth, that this is the manifestation of the 38, because we know that Elohim's number is 888. We shared with you on many of occasions how we had on one of our ecologies, we shared with you how there was a 3.8 earthquake and a 3.6 earthquake, and they both manifested the same day out here in California. That's a good lecture for you to go back and view, because what we do is that we define the 36 pertaining to 666 pertaining to the mark of the beast, and pertaining to the 3.8, that was 888 pertaining to Yahweh Elohim's number. And this is how that we correlated that. So here, when it says that after 38 remain missing because of the boat capsized, this is where we come here to understand that particular principle here. When we see how the spirit is penetrating the earth plane to roll the waters back to allow the dry lands to appear. So that is picking up the principle of how we understand that 38 is missing after the ship capsized off the Florida coast on Sunday night. So what happens is that we come here, that's Tuesday. Here's Monday. Here, when we come to Sunday, and Yahweh Elohim said, let there be light, that we seeing how he had eradicated the darkness, which was this right here. So when we're looking at this particular principle, and it says a capsize on Sunday night, officials were alerted on Tuesday after a commercial vessel was spotted with a man claiming. Okay, now this happened Sunday night. We understand that Yahweh, that was take us back to the first day of creation when Yahweh Elohim said, let there be light. Now it's talking about Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, taking us back to Tuesday, when it says after a commercial vessel spotted a man clinging on the hull of the boat, some 45 miles, 72 kilometers from the city of Fort Pierce. Okay. Now, when we look at the principles of 45, okay, that within our teaching, our founder had preached for a period of 45 years, from 1931 to 1976, picking up the principles of 45 years, okay? Total together is a number of 9. It says 7 and 2, 7 is perfection, 2 is for the law and the prophets, okay, away from the city, all right? The survivor said, now one thing too I want to share some with you, when it's talking about how this particular ship had capsized, okay? Now, this takes us back because this is prophecy as well. And what we're going to do is come back to the divine vision and revelation of Pharaoh, okay? It's talking about how this particular ship had capsized, okay? First off, let me do this, all right? The man was hanging on the pole. We come here and show you the principles of the ship that it's talking about, or the vessel upon the water. Brings us right back here. Show you the flood of Noah right here manifesting, all right? We're talking about a boat or a ship capsizing, okay? Now, if you remember the prophecy of the story, we can go 3 places with this, which is very beautiful. It brings us right here. Now here, when we come to the divine vision and revelation of our founder, we authenticate his vision, see. And let me share this with you too. I'm gonna say this again. I want this understood. Now, all these events and everything that's manifested, I'm showing them to you on both charts, okay? Now, when the founder was here, and he's preaching up off of this, all these events are manifesting because everything that's taking place in the world, he's telling you because they all are manifesting here on this vision. And he was telling, now, he had it down to a science where he was telling you off the watch off of his wrist, the exact, right before it take place, he was calling it what's getting ready to happen, and it's manifesting just like how he said, all right? Now here, when we come here and we're showing you that this is Yahshua upon this particular ship, and it says how that this boat is getting ready to capsize because of the winds or the weather had gotten really, really bad, okay? And so when we come back and we look at this, that they came and woke Yahshua up and says, Master, get up before we perish, all right? Because here, this is picking up the same principles of what manifested with Jonah, all right? Because Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh, where Yahweh Elohim told him to go preach. And so therefore, Yahweh allowed a great tempest to manifest. And what they did was, when Jonah woke up, he says, throw him overboard, because all the ones on the ship said, get up and pray to your God because we perish, okay? Now, because there was a Hebrew on board and he said, throw me overboard, and they threw him overboard, and Yahweh Elohim had a special prepared fish to swallow him and took him where he needed to go, that after they threw him overboard, that the waters calmed. Okay? So therefore, that is another principle pertaining to the 3 to 38, because Jonah had the spirit of Yahweh Elohim and he was thrown overboard. So that is also giving you the principles of 888 or 38, because they threw Jonah overboard, and then he was missing pertaining to what the people in that boat had seen, because they didn't see him no more after they threw him in the water. They thought, hey, well, man, he's gone, because he didn't come up, he didn't swim or anything. And if some of them seen that fish swallow him, then what had happened was like this, that, you know, they said, oh man, he's a goner, he got ate by a fish, all right? And so now we're looking at these particular principles to show you how, when it was talking about a boat that was capsized, that the origin of it started with, in actuality, the origin of it started with Noah. Then we come here and see what happened with Noah. It originated with Noah, then it happened with Jonah. Then Yahshua fulfills it, okay, right here, when they said, Master, get up, and he rebuked the winds. And then they said, what manner of man is this that he can rebuke the winds to where even the winds will obey what he said, all right? That's a powerful man, all right? Nobody on this ship was a Hebrew or Jewish, you understand what I'm saying? So therefore, the same principles had to apply to where there's still 38 individuals missing. And then pertaining to that, it says that they found one individual who had drowned, pertaining to the one who was dead. And we picked up those particular principles to show you how that Cain died spiritually and psychologically so. And then we showed you the principles of how Abel was dead because of Cain bludgeoning him, all right? Now, to fulfill the fourth principle of that is that how we come back here to show you another one who was shipwrecked, to where we understand that Saul said that he was shipwrecked as well, okay? And Saul fulfills these same very principles here, okay, and showing how he was shipwrecked, because the shipwreck was Saul. So this is the reason why with these particular Gentiles here, which I'm a Gentile and you're a Gentile unless you are a Hebrew or Israelite, okay, by birth, all right? And so therefore it shows you that particular principle here to pick up all of the principles from beginning to end, all four principles that are pertaining to Yahshua the Messiah, because Noah's name means comforter, and Yahshua said, the comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, who the Father will send in my name, shall teach you all things. And that is the fulfillment of that. Just beautiful, right? It says on Tuesday, commercial vessels, spot of the man clean. We shared that with you. The survivors said that they left the many by many. You got to buy many of them in the Bahamas on Saturday night, right? Now, when it says that the group had left by many, okay, be many, in the Bahamas on Saturday night. It says, and later foul weather, that the boat may have been part of a human smuggling venture. And what happens is it takes us to where, when we look at this, it's showing you how Yahshua was in the heart of the earth. This is what these particular principles here. We're talking about special prepared body, special prepared body, right? We come back here, because when we come here to plate 31, it shows you that right here. Let me come over and show you what I'm talking about. But it doesn't show it well, because now it's coming over here and we're going to show you Yahshua being on the cross, all right? Now, when we come here and show it to you, okay. And we're looking at what it was talking about Saturday night when they took off. The Yahshua was in the heart of the earth while in Joseph's tomb Saturday, that whole day. Now here is a principle of night, because Yahshua, when he was on the cross, it turned dark and night, and this was 2 days in one, and then they put him in here. So therefore, when the principle of Saturday night, Yahshua was buried, okay? And so when we come back here and we look at it, pertaining to what it said, that on Saturday night and later encountered foul weather, it says the boat, okay, foul weather, that we understand that, like I said, Yahshua was in the tomb. So based upon that, when it talks about foul weather, you understand that everything that was on the outside is showing you how you have spiritual within high places, okay? The U.S. official said, according to a survivor who had not yet been identified, of the passengers that no one was wearing life vests. Okay, here we go again. Showing you these beautiful principles. Brings us right back up here to the man. Says that the survivor, he was an unidentified man. Come here. Why? Because he's unidentified. Here we're looking at this principle of this heart that's manifesting within his chest to show you the principles of the life vest, all right? His life vest is showing you that he's dead. So therefore, all the individuals that was on the boat did not have life vests. So here we come here to show you that particular principle. It says that the migrant's tragedy is the biggest loss of life in the English Channel. The search is being led by a Miami Coast Guard using ships and aircrafts. The agency said on Twitter that the Coast Guard, along with other government agencies, is now searching for survivors debris in the area that is approximately the same size as the U.S. state of New Jersey. Now, we understand New Jersey is right by or over the bridge from New York. This is the reason why it brings us right back here. You know anything about the East Coast, okay? Over there with the Big Apple, over there in New York and New Jersey, things of that particular nature that when we come here, we're showing you how close proximity New York is to New Jersey. It's just like principle as Oakland to San Francisco. You got to cross a bridge, you understand, pertaining to the principles of the Bay Area, all right? So this is what allows you to come right here to see this particular principle here. And then what we do is to share the principles of, like I said, you have to cross over a bridge from New York to New Jersey, just like from Oakland to San Francisco. Come here and show you that particular principle here, okay? How, you know, how big it was, and it's given you principles of the U.S. state, all right? Okay. I'm going to show you those particular principles. Like I said, I look at this, just how Yahweh Elohim gives it to me, and I'm just giving it back to you how he gave it to me. Okay? That's all I can do. To show you that it's not about me, and as well that if these things happen every day, it goes back to show you that I couldn't have a prepared text. All right? Ain't that interesting? Now, on Wednesday morning, Captain Joanna Berg, the commander of the Coast Guard. Now, come right back here. When we come to Wednesday morning, that takes us to what, the fourth day of creation, when the sun was being placed in the sky. All right, so that's why she said Wednesday morning, Captain, the commander of the Coast Guard of the Miami sector said that one body has been recovered and was being investigated in the hopes to find other survivors. No further details were released on the nationality of the survivor or others, passengers. Captain Berdian said, the incident, which is believed to have taken place as a result of prevailing weather conditions on Sunday, all right? So it takes us right back to the principles of Sunday. And when you look at this particular thing right here that we share with you within our book, based upon the principles that happen right here, pertaining to the first day of creation, that this is the beginning of spheres and weather conditions that's happening within the heavens, because this is Yahweh Elohim that said that there be light, okay? Talking about Sunday weather conditions. This is the first weather condition that happened within the creation of Yahweh that happened on the first day of creation, because this is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, okay? So we come back to Sunday to see the weather conditions, and Yahweh Elohim had eradicated the darkness up out of there. So we come here to show you these particular principles of how beautiful that these particular ecologies elaborate to the gospel of the kingdom. So here we come here to the first day of creation. Here we come here and show you the same thing. Let's come back just a little bit. Now, Adam is the son of Yahweh, right? So here is the sun's day. Right here, the sun's day. Right here, the sun's day. All right. Why is it the sun's day? Because Yahweh said, let there be light. We shared with you that the physical manifestation of what happened on the first day took place on the fourth day. That's why you got 1 and 4, okay? 1 and 4 are 14, okay? 1 and 4. And it says that from the 10th to the 14th, take out a lamb, right? So now you see the particular principles based upon what Yahweh Elohim is talking about. So we come here to Sunday to show you what the Sunday is. When Yahweh Elohim says, let there be light, okay, to eradicate the darkness out. So this is the first weather condition that had manifested within the creation. We share with you a lot of principles within the book pertaining to this, like heat inversion, things of that particular nature, how that when we have volcanoes and wildland fires, how up here, you know what I'm saying, based upon this thing that those things that happen within the creation has their own weather. Fire creates its own weather. So does the volcanic ash and things of that particular nature creates its own weather. That's why you have lightning and thunderstorms, and it creates principles of a tsunami. This is where we get these particular things from, okay? This is the origin of it. This is the beauty of that. It says on a normal human smuggling routes from the Bahamas into the southern US, okay? So now that brings us right back here to the southern US, okay? Because it's the South, all right? We shared with you, look at this, same principles, beautifully illustrated. I don't write news articles. This is, you gotta move over one more time. Let us move this over. All right. Now, this says here, that human smuggling routes from the Bahamas into the southern US conditions. Here's South, here's the US. Here goes the red, white, and blue pertaining to the flag right here. Here's southern US. It says smuggling operations, okay? Human, this is a human because he's physical. They got him in this particular darkness because he's hidden in this particular darkness to show you a principle of smuggling, all right? We shared with you how Yahweh Elohim had housed him in everlasting darkness until change of darkness, okay? In everlasting change of darkness until the great day. So this is to show you how he's smuggling, being smuggled, okay? Human smuggling, because he's hid within darkness. He's smuggled in darkness. And this is talking about southern USA from the Bahamas. That's picking up those particular principles. I think those things are just beautiful. US conditions on Sunday include a severe cold front. It says high waves and strong winds, okay? High waves, look at this right here. Now, when you're looking at how we have the waters conglomerated together, and you come right up here to the principle of Adam's abdominal region, that this is a high wave right here, because you don't see how this water that's right here, okay? Let me show you what I'm talking about. When we looking at how the water is calm here within the body of Yahshua, all right? This show you about how the tsunamis began. And you bring this water all the way over that is calm, but yet and still when we get here that it comes up. So here's a rise to show you, you understand what I'm saying, the particular principles of the high waves, okay? And so this will be a high wave, you understand? And then when we're looking at the principles of how, when we see here, the spirit of Elohim moving upon the face of the deep, you understand what I'm saying? That this is the principles of the strong winds, okay? Because it says that the spirit of Elohim moved upon the water. So here's your strong winds upon the high waves, manifesting right here, okay? When you see in the spirit move upon the face of the deep, okay? And when I look at this like that, you understand what I'm saying? Like I said, these just be beautiful principles if you have a spiritual eye to see. It says, any survivor, she added, would be in dire situation without food and water in the sea after so many days, she added. Now, wait just a minute. Wait just a minute. Let us come right back down here. We got to come back down here to the Red Sea. Now, didn't we have people in the Red Sea? Yes, we did. Now, when they came out, they had everything they needed. Now, when the children of Israel, remember, when the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt, they spoiled the Egyptians. So they had food, you know, they had unleavened bread they had to eat because they were doing the Passover. That's what Yahweh told them to have and to eat. And so therefore, when they came up out of the land of Egypt, they had great substance. So here, when it says that these individuals that's within the water, says that they are in dire need without food and water, being in the sea for so many days, she added, okay? That's not a good thing. They were only within the sea, okay, for just a couple of watches because they left at 12 midnight, and by the time the third watch had ended, you understand what I'm saying, that they was all the way on the other side. Here it says that the other individual, because Pharaoh and his host was choked within the sea, you know what I'm saying, they died. This is principle how without food and water, that after many days that they would not be doing well and they would be considered dead. It says the island of by Mimi is the westernmost district of the Bahamas and only 50 miles from Miami, okay? So now it's giving us principle of 50 because it's pertaining to Pentecost. When we look at the principles of what it's talking about, western, okay? It says 50 miles west of Miami. We come here to show you the principles, how when we said sun rises in the east, sets in the west. Okay, we come here, showing you how this is the principle of Elohim, looking at the good and the evil. You understand what I'm saying? How Elohim was looking, as well as Elohim when he was looking down on Saul on the road to Damascus to blind him, showing you that great light that shines from heaven upon him. And we come here to show you that, okay? So that's how we look at those particular principles. It says, as we move along, it says that with the vessel crowned with the people are not uncommon in the waters of Florida. Many of the cases involved migrants from Cuba and Haiti are overloaded ships west of the Bahamas, trio survivors for 33 days in tiny Bahamas boats, okay? Talking about the principle of the 33 days, we understand when Yahshua was put up on the cross, he was 33 years old, okay? And so when it is talking about how that a trio survivor for 33 days on a tiny Bahama island, it says navigated the Florida Straits, okay? So here, when it says they had a survivor, you understand the west of the Bahamas, a trio survivor, that when we look at trio, that is the principle of three. Now, when Yahshua was placed upon the cross, that was a trio because you had Yahshua and two thieves on the side of him. So that makes three pertaining to the trio. All right. Now, when we look at the principles, when it's talking about the 33 days that we come to Yahshua, because Yahshua was 33 years of age when they had put him on the cross. Now, when we say it's 33 days, that Yahweh's rule was what? A year for a day. Okay. So when we look at that, that's like I said, it sums up the principle of Yahshua. Okay, and his age, all right, and the things that happened. The trio was how there was two thieves on the left and the right of him, okay? He was in the center. He was 33 years old. Here it was talking about how it was trio and these individuals that were stranded on the west bank of the Bahamas. They was there for 33 days. It says windward and Mona passengers in overloaded and less than seaworthy vessels is extremely dangerous and can result in loss of life, the Coast Guard said. In a statement, the Coast Guard and our partner agencies will continue to stop these voyages. You will be interdicted and should be expected to be returned and repatriated to your own country of origin, okay? So therefore, pertaining to these particular principles, it says how one will be returned back into their particular origin of where they came from. And this is how Yahshua went back up into his Father, because he was spirit in the beginning, came down in the physical body, and went right back into the Father. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, this just shows you pertaining to his origin, how he went back to this place of origin based upon those particular principles. Here we see how Judas, okay, was in house in this particular darkness, okay? And so therefore we see where he went to his particular origin, right back within this darkness. You understand what I'm saying? Yahshua went to heaven. Okay? All right. So therefore, that should sum up those particular principles of that particular ecology. And what we will be doing is we'll be moving on to our third and final ecology for the evening. All right. Boy, that stuff is good. That's some good soul food. All right. Now, our third and final ecology for this evening takes us to Africa. It says AFCON Stadium crushed the force behind forced us to fall on Monday. 46-year-old Cameroon fan Ndambi Irene was excited as she approached Yaounde's Olembe Stadium with her son for the African Cup of Nations. Knocked out tie with Comoros. However, as she neared the stadium premature, her dreams turned into a nightmare as a crushed left a dead. Here she tells BBC Sports African Piers Edwards her story as we were approaching the first entrance. We were supposed to be checked for COVID passes and match tickets. I realized the entrance was too small. Then the police suddenly asked us to stop. I don't know why. Maybe they wanted to do a check or something. I observed from the crowd outside and the way the police were managing it, that it might be very difficult for everybody to enter the stadium before 8 p.m. when the match was supposed to start, When I realized that it was already too late, I could not go back. I could not go forward. I was stuck in the middle of the crowd, where we were just being forced by the pressure behind to keep moving. The crowd became behind, did not know what was happening ahead, that those in front were not moving, so they kept coming and coming. I was not in the first line. There were other people in front of me. I was about 10 rows from the front, caught up in the middle of people. I was stuck there for more than 15 minutes. It was very intense, very severe. When the pressure became too high, the smaller movable fence, not the fixed icon ones outside of the Olembe Stadium, were pushed over and people fell on them. The fences wounded and maybe even suffocated some, for they were held down by breezing blocks. To stop people from passing, the crowd was no mammoth, that the stampede occurred all of a sudden. The force behind forced us in front to fall. And those from behind walked over us, smashing us. Most of us choked in the dust that was on the floor. I was actually choking. My vision was blurry. I could not see. It was only after some time that I was able to see again. I could not talk for a while afterwards either. I think I was on the ground for about 5 minutes. The people were stampeding forward before somebody was able to pull me out. I just found somebody was pulling me out of the crowd by my head. That's how I got saved. I'm really just fortunate. At the hospital, where there were few of us there, were unconscious. For rushed only 2 of us were alive. The 7 people around me were dead. So I really count myself very lucky, fortunate to be alive. I was with my son and 3 colleagues from my school. We are all alive, honestly. I think the security agent did not foresee that situation. They were not prepared for it. I thought that if they had made provisions for spectators to line up even 300 meters before the entrance, it would have been better. I estimate that more than 1,000 people were at the entrance at the time, and the available police officer could not manage the crowd that was there at the time. At one point, the police succeeded in pushing back the crowd towards the back, and all 1,000 people did not walk over those who fell. If that had been the case, we would have had more casualties. That was a very bad experience. I'll never like to go to a football match again. Wow. Now here, when we come to this particular ecology, and it says that Akon Stadium was crushed. Now you understand, excuse me, the principle of why that our scripture reading was so pertaining to Samson being within the stadium, and the stadium fell over. You understand? And this was to show you how this was the physical manifestation here of what happened with Samson with the Philistines. Okay. Now here it says that the force behind us fell on Monday. Here it's talking about a 46-year-old woman. Her name was Nadambi Irene. Okay. She said she was very excited when she was approaching Yaounde's Olymbe Stadium with her son for the African Cup. Now, when we look at these particular principles, talking about 4 and 6, okay? That brings us right here to these particular principles here when we look at these particular principles on this particular chart here. Allows us to come to the 4,000 year, or 4,000 AM on the 4th day of creation pertaining to Yahweh. And we understand it pertaining to that when we come to the divine vision and revelation of our founder, that what the sun was placed within the sky on the 4th day of creation, which brings us right here to this here. On the 6th day of creation, Yahweh Elohim created the man to show you how that the man and the sun, or the S-U-N and the S-O-N, was one and the same. So this is why it's showing you the principles of 46, even though it's talking about the age of the woman. Why? Because the woman was extracted out of the man on the 6th day. And so therefore, with this particular principle, that when she's saying that she's 46, that that's showing you how the woman was what? Clothed within the sun. Okay, oops, can't even see what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, you guys. Brings us right back here. It's talking about a woman and showing you how the woman was clothed within the sun. She was 46. Showing you the principle 4, here's the principle 6, the woman was taken up out of the man. Here is showing you right back here how the woman is clothed back in the sun. And it says that here, pertaining to what John was talking about, that she was pregnant, ready to give birth, and then how Satan was ready to devour her son when we go over there and look at that in Revelation, the 12th chapter. So now, when we look at the 46-year-old woman, how she was with her son, that she buried a male child, just like how the scripture said. So she has her son. She says 7 individuals were dead around her, okay? And she said she had 3 colleagues with her, and they were alive. You understand what I'm saying? And they were colleagues with her from school. And so therefore, when we look at these particular principles, we understand the principles pertaining to the widow and her son. All right, we look at that particular principle with Elijah. And we look at that particular principle with Elisha. And when we come all the way down to where we are now, that we understand that Peter was a manifestation of the widow's son, and the widow because Yahshua had healed his mother-in-law, okay? So now we look at those particular principles as well, right? It just show you how they're being fulfilled. So when she's 46, it's showing you how the one was clothed within the sun because we come here on the 4th day, and we showed you those particular principles, right? Okay, just so you can understand. Here, when we come here, we show them to you on this chart. This is the 4th day of creation. We come over here and show you the same principles right here, because we're showing you that this is 3 days after the 3rd day of creation, which is the 6th day of creation, where we show you how we got the man, the sun, and the tree, and how all of these agree in one, because we showed you how that the man and the S-O-N and the S-U-N is one and the same, because the man was created on the 6th day of creation, on the 4th day of creation, that the sun was placed in the sky, and on the 3rd day of creation, what we understand that that Yahweh Elohim created the biosphere pertaining to the principles of the trees. Now, the blind man said, when Yahshua had healed him with the spittle, that he says, I see men walking as trees. So that allows us to be able to come here to see that particular principle to show you how that man, okay, is a tree. All right. We come here and show you principles of the man. All right. On the 6th day of creation to show you that we can get it like this. All righty then. To show you how we have the 4th day and we have the 6th day where the man was created right here. Okay, show you those principles. All right. There to there. That's the 4 and 6. The man, and we understand the principles, how that the woman was clothed back into the sun right here to show you the same principles of what we was talking about how she was clothed back in the sun, pertaining to what we extracted from the vision of our founder. Okay. And then that takes us right back here when we look at that. All right. Just beautiful. All right. She says as we go on that her and her son wanted to watch the African cup. Okay, we come here and show you the principle that here's the cup. We come right here and we show you that. She says she wanted to see the African cup, right? Look at this, you guys. We share with you the African colors of red, black, and green. Here's the principles of Africa. Right here. Here's the cup. Do you see that? She said she wanted to see that. She wanted to see, here's a woman. She wanted to see, her eyes is open. She wanted to see the African cup. All right, so this is what she's seeing. The woman, her son, the cup. Let's zoom in. Man, I'd be like, boy, these things be beautiful. Now, based upon the stadium falling, like I said, that's the reason why that we read the principles pertaining to what happened with Samson. We just wanted to show you how this is cup, labor, tower, Babel, the foundation, okay? How the children of men built these 2 towers and gathered them together based upon what Yahweh Elohim has scattered abroad. You know what I mean? Just showing you the principles of the satanic foundation. At the same time, it's the spiritual millstone, the tower of Babel, Al Sadama, but we're showing you how it's also giving the principles of the cup and the labor, okay? Now, when Revelation says, look not upon the cup or for one that which is red. You understand what I'm saying? Those particular principles. Okay, here's the labor, how we watch the sacrifices, all right? Looking at the principles of the court roundabout. Okay, things like that. So we're just showing you these beautiful things, man. Beautiful, okay? And how they are exactly fulfilling the principles within these particular ecologies, okay? If one has eyes to see. We come over that again. Here's the cup. So talking about the African, the woman wanted to come with her son to see the African cup, okay? So we pick up those particular principles there. And like I say, I be elated. And then it says that a nation's knockout with the cameras. However, as she neared the stadium, premature, it says her dreams turned into a nightmare. All right, stop. She says she's coming close to the stadium, and then her dreams turn into a nightmare. And when she wakes up, she sees how she's in the house in this particular garden. Pertaining to the principles of how that they were, their explosion about the garden, how they was in the garden, okay, how everything was beautiful. But then, like I said, when they approached and came out, how her dreams of beauty turned into a nightmare. And so therefore, this is what we see. We come here. I'm here to authenticate the divine vision and revelation of our founder. And we come here to extract those particular principles. And we're showing you how her dream here, as she came all the way out, turned into a nightmare based upon what happened here. This is telling this particular story here, okay? So this is how we look at these particular principles, and this is how we run that, okay? How this dream turned into a nightmare, and her coming up out of the garden. All right. It says, first left a dead. All right. So you got how they were dead, okay, or were crushed. It says she tells the BBC her story as we were approaching the first. you were supposed to be checked for a COVID pass and mass ticket. I realized, now I'm gonna say this right here. Look at this, y'all. I want to ask you a quick question really fast. So they was approaching the gate. Oh boy. When you get on the airplane, what do you need to get on this particular vessel? You need a ticket. And your ticket got to match. You can't get on no airplane and travel to any other country without having a COVID exam. Get on this, okay? It says airliners in the form of the dove, okay? So I wanted to extract that to share that. All right. So they talk about how that they had entered into the interest of the gate. That brings us here to show you how that they had to walk up, and they walked up a narrow entrance. Said those were from the back and how they were in the middle, but they go into the entrance because here goes the gate right here, right? And it says entering the straight gate, right? So this is showing you that particular principle here. It says those were behind her, those were in front of us, and then she was in between. She says up there where the guards were, all right? And then it said they had smaller fences. Here go another fence, here another gate. They had smaller fences. You understand? That was on the outside. These are the fences and everything else on the inside, and these are the gates. So therefore, we can extract these particular principles from that, okay? That's manifesting right here, okay? I think these things are phenomenal. They are phenomenal. All right. Like I said, there is nothing that Yahweh cannot do when he is explaining his purpose. So if it's his purpose and this is his creation, there's nothing that he cannot use. They all belong to him. Now, as we move on, it says that the police suddenly asked us to stop. I don't know why, maybe they wanted to check something. I observed the crowd outside, and the police were managing it, that it might be very difficult for everybody to enter the stadium before 8 p.m. When the mass was supposed to start, when I realized that it was already too late, I could not go back, I could not go forward. I was stuck in the middle of the crowd, where we were just being forced by the pressure behind to keep moving. All right, I showed you about the back and forth. I don't have to go back. It says that that those that were in the front were not moving, so they kept moving and coming. And I was not the first in line, and there was only other people in front of me. I was about 10 rows from the front. The number 10 is pertaining to the law. It says, now, when we do that, we share with you how this woman, cup, there's a sun, there's a cup, okay? And in here, I'm going to talk about 10. This is the 10 that we're talking about. Let's talk about the 10 rows. We come here to pick up the 10 because this is picking up the 7 and the 3 here, which is pertaining to the laws of Yahweh. And we come here to pick up the 10 manifesting right here. It's kind of small for you to see. But hey, this is to prove Yahweh. So I'm going to take the patience. I'm going to walk over here and I'm going to show you that this is pertaining to that, pertaining to the law, how all of it is connecting, all right? The cup, 10 rows, the tickets, the African colors. The other one is her son. That's her. All the principles that it's talking about right there. He who has eyes to see, let him see. Then it says that we start in the middle and was there for like about 15 minutes, okay? Taking you back to number 6, which is the day she was created. When you want to look at the principles 1 and 5, and here's the first day of creation, here's the first dispensation, here's the 5th dispensation. We pick up the 1 and 5 pertaining to the 15. So here go 1, here go 5. First day, first dispensation, here goes the fifth dispensation, all right? 15, all right? 15 minutes, just like it's saying, not changing nothing. Man, okay? Now, I'm gonna zoom in so you can see this, y'all. Zoom in so you can see. I want you to see it for yourself. I'm not making this up, man. She said that she was stuck for 15 minutes, okay? I read that to you, all right? And she said there was people in front of me, people in back of me, and I was stuck for 15 minutes. First day of creation, first river Python, first dispensation. Big O of V, showing you the fifth day, the fifth dispensation. 1 and 5, 15 minutes stuck there, right there, all right? Showing you the spiritual kingdom of Yahshua, and then showing you how this was the eradication of spiritual kingdoms in high places, okay? Showing you the days of the week and all these things simultaneously, all right? That's your 15 minutes and how they were stuck, right? Okay. And so as we move along, that it was very intense, very severe, when the pressure became too high. The similar movable fence, not the fixed ones, just was pushed over and people fell on them. The fence wounded and maybe even suffocated some, all right? Now, when let's talk about those particular principles of the fence. A fence is something that separates one side from the other. The fence is principle as a barrier or a separation. Here, when you come look at this dotted line pertaining to the principles of what's in the angelic and the physical, to how we always shared with you that what took place in the angelic must take its residence within the physical. But here is your fence that it was talked about, and how the sun was stuck up under it and suffocated. And we showed you these particular principles pertaining to the principles of the throne to show you how this is suffocation, because where he is and how he is housed in everlasting darkness and in the spiritual dead, because of the law of Yahweh manifested in his chest cavity. And we also pick up principles here as an individual not having a life jacket. So when we look at these particular things and we come back, we can see how all of these things are running according to the purpose of Yahweh. All right. And so we wanted to show you the principles of fence. Okay. It says that people who suffocate, excuse me, until they head down by the breeze blocks. People stopped from passing, and it says the crowd was no mammoth, that the stampede occurred all of a sudden. The force behind us, in front of us, to fall from those behind, walked over us, smashing us. Most of us choked in the dust that was on the floor. I was actually choking. My vision was blurred. I could not see. It was only after time that I was able to see again. Okay. So now, when we look at these particular principles and we hear what's being said, that this darkness that we see how is being housed in is picking up the principles of when they were in the stench darkness of Egypt. And based upon that plague that was darkness before the firstborn was killed within the land of Egypt, it says how that they could not even see their hand in front of their face. Therefore, she could not see. Her mouth was open, showing how she was choking, okay, because the principles of the dust, all right? And we have to look at the particular principles of how when it says that she was choking, and her vision was blurred, because she says she choked in the dust that was on the floor. Now, Yahweh Elohim had told the serpent that he shall eat of the dust of the ground, okay? I mean, that's when Yahweh Elohim had cursed this particular serpent. And Yahweh Elohim had put enmity between thy seed and the woman's seed, okay? Because she talked about her son. So therefore, based upon, he deceived the woman. And Yahweh Elohim said that he shall eat of the dust of the ground. And we understand it pertains to the principle of the woman and her son, that her firstborn son was Cain, which was Satan's son, takes you all the way back of how if he ate the dust of the ground, she was poisoned based upon what she ate based upon the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that the same punishment that Yahweh Elohim gave her. Now she ate the dust of the ground. She was choking on it, made her vision blurry, because we have to understand, we come here, we pick it up better when we extract it from the chart here. This is the tangible that we're showing you here. She says her vision was blurry. But what we want to show you here is that the woman had a vision in the beginning. Right here, you see is seeing this particular angel. And we're talking about this satanic angel here, right? That we're showing you that the woman is having a vision right there. Okay? That's what's taking place. She's having a vision. All right? And so that's why she said that her vision was blurred, because when you look at these particular principles, it's showing you how the woman had a vision there. And then it says that I think it was on the ground for about 5 minutes. When people were stampeding forward, somebody was able to pull me out. I just found somebody pulling me out of the crowd by my head. Okay? So now that brings us to this. Somebody is pulling you out of the crowd by your head, because Adam was your head and you had to follow him out of the garden. So when it's talking about that somebody had to pull you out of the crowd by your head, that the man is the head, the woman is the body. And so therefore this is showing you how that she was pulled out. And therefore this is their manifestation of out of the garden that's manifesting within the world. And this is how we extract those particular principles from the divine vision and revelation of our founder to authenticate this divine vision and revelation. Because now I just got saved. I really was just fortunate. Now, I'm gonna stop right there, because it says that she had just got saved, and she said that she was very, very fortunate. And so therefore, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drop down really pretty much right here, because it's taking you back to these particular principles here. The woman clothed within the sun. The woman is talking about her and her child. The woman clothed within the sun, picking up the principles of how she was 46 years old, taking us right back. And so therefore it says how she was saved. Now, when we come back and we look at these particular principles, okay, that pertaining to the divine vision and revelation of the founder, that it says here that the woman shall be saved in what? Childbearing. Here we see that right here, manifesting right here, how it says that she shall be saved in childbearing. I apologize, let me focus in. I want you guys to see exactly what I'm talking about, that I'm not making this up. There we are. Oops. Childbearing. Woman shall be saved in childbearing. That's what it says right here. And that's how she shall be saved. Why? Because from these generations, she's going to, you know, 10 through 62 generations, that Yahshua is going to come to redeem, you understand what I'm saying, the transgression of what they did within the garden. That's why the woman shall be saved within childbearing. Then we come back here, based upon those particular principles, to see how she had went through the things she went through because of the things of what the woman Eve had went through up there within the garden. It says that 7 people around me were dead. So I really counted myself very, very fortunate to be alive. I was with my son and 3 colleagues. Pick that up. You see how the woman was pregnant? She says she had 3 colleagues. You understand what I'm saying? Bring it right here. I do apologize for saying that so much. I ought to say you understand instead of you understand what I am saying. But I hope you understand this particular question. I'll move on. It says that I think that the security agents did not foresee that situation. They were not prepared for it. I thought that if they had made provisions for spectators in the line to even up about 300 meters before the entrance, it would have been better. Now, if she says here that I think that it might have made provisions for spectators to line up even 300 meters before they entered, it would have been a lot better. Now, when it's talking about the 300, and it's talking about the 300 pertaining to the spectators, that take us back to Gideon and his 300. Yahweh said that they to choose the ones that drink water like a dog. And so therefore, this is what it's talking about pertaining to 300, because when they went and took over the place that Yahweh Elohim told them to take over, that it made it better for the children of Israel. So this is how we look at that. There was an estimate that more than 1,000 people were at the entrance at the time. Now, when we look at it, it says that there were 1,000 people at the entrance. Okay? Let me show you something. It takes us back over to here. Why did it say 1,000 people at the entrance? Just bring us right back here. And it's showing you how that this one right here was what? Bound for 1,000 years. Because the people what? Did not move. What color is this particular beast picking up? Now, I'm not saying that my people are, us black people, are evil or the devil, but I'm just showing you because it's talking about principles of Africa and the colors of our African flag. You know what I'm saying? Even if it applies to us African Americans, that is red, black, and green. Okay? So we're looking at these particular principles. Now, I'm not saying that African people are the devils. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that our African flag is principled as Satan. I'm not saying that. I'm just using principles to extract from colors, things that are manifested on the chart so that you can see and acquire a spiritual understanding. So when it's talking about the 1,000 people, it's talking about the 1,000 years or a year for a day. Now, 1,000 years is a day to Yahweh. And yeah, how did that go? 1,000 years is a day in the Yahweh, a day, 1,000 years, something like that, to that effect. But that is the principle of that. And so I wanted to share those particular principles with you as well. So let's come back here to extract these last principles so we can. And so therefore it says that at the time the available police officers could not manage the crowd, and that there was at the time, at one point, the police succeeded to push back the crowd towards the back, so that all the 1,000 people did not walk over those who fell. If that had been the case, we would have had more casualties. That was a very bad experience. I will never go to a football match again. Okay? So now, what I want you guys to see before we end, I'm going to show it to you on both charts, and I know you guys are going to get a kick out of this, right? Now here, I'll go like this. If you look at the feet of Adam here, when Adam is standing on this sapphire stone, it looks like a ball, and so therefore that's the principle of the football. And so therefore that is pertaining to the principles of here of the invisible enemy, because the principle has the earth and Satan being the God of this world. Okay, so that's those particular principles right here, all right? And so if I back up just a little bit and show you that it almost looks like a football. And then the woman said that she ain't never going there again, because that's showing how the woman was in the garden in the heavenly state, and she had to come down into the spiritual creation. And she said she would never go there again. Okay. And so just like I said, the woman coming out of the garden from the Garden of Eden, she said she don't ever want to go there again to the football, because she had to come down to the earth. She was in the heavenly state and had to manifest a physical state. Okay. So we look at those particular principles. All right. And when we come here, same thing applies. Because we got Yahweh Elohim standing on the sapphire stone. Right here pertaining to what Moses was saying when they were seeing Elohim, okay? And here we got Elohim standing upon a sapphire stone, which was the body of heaven in clearness. And so therefore it's the principle, like I said, of football, and that's what we're seeing there. And the woman says that I will never go to a football game again. And there is your foot and there is your ball, pertaining to the principle of the sapphire stone. Okay, and I thought that was just fascinating and beautiful, and we see it there. And so therefore, we can see that same principle to manifest. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Over. right there. The Yahweh Elohim standing upon the sapphire stone. Football, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, brethren that has joined us, we thank you so much for joining us again, pertaining to things that Yahweh Elohim have had me to share. And like I said, it's always an honor and pleasure. And I hope that it was something that you heard or seen that will help you understand the purpose of Yahweh Elohim a little bit more, excuse me. And that, you know, it will give you some type of enlightenment, spiritually and psychologically. So when we go and extract these particular ecologies, showing you how that they are revealing the purpose of Yahweh Elohim from beginning to end. And you know, all those who want to be negative, I like when you do negative things because you show who you are and what family you belong to. And if you're trying to obstruct me from preaching the gospel or doing the things that I'm doing for the kingdom, then all you have doing was set your place in hell, okay? Just straight like that. And I don't give a damn who you are, okay? So you can try to be sneaky about it. You understand what I'm saying? But it's all going to go according to those who are in close proximity that want to stop me from doing my Father's will. And so therefore, I see that you're doing your Father's will by trying to stop me from doing mine. So that separates who I am opposed to who you are. And that's why you are in darkness and I am in light. You understand what I'm saying? And that goes for all of us. All of us who are the children of Yahweh, who are in the light, remain and retain the light. And I'm going to say this too before I end. That, you know, I have not really gotten into the things, like I said, tit for tat, you know, what people were doing. But I'm going to share this with you. And when I made the prophecy about a lot of people dying, okay, what's getting ready to happen is going to be more people dying. These demons are going to start dying. A lot of evil people who you know to be evil, who has that name or who has, you know, it says when people come, you are that book that you are read and known for, man, okay? So all of those that we look around us to know that don't really do too good, or, you know, you know what I'm trying to say, they have that negative energy. You understand what I'm saying? That I'm trying to tell you that the Creator is coming for you. And because you don't know Yahweh, you will. And because you desire to continue to do evil and will not repent or change your ways, there is no mercy, because you have no mercy. You have no love. You have no forgiveness. You don't have no mercy upon me and what I'm doing. So why should my Father have mercy on you? Okay. Now my Father is in me. Why in the hell should I have mercy on you? The hell with you. You understand? You and your whole family, all those who work iniquity, the hell with you. You finna get yours. Because truthfully, I have been very, very mild-mannered, humble, patient, loving, and desiring life for the whole entire creation, to give them a chance and the opportunity to repent, to come out of her. And what I'm talking about is that great correlate what it's speaking about over there in Revelation. John said that the Creator says, come up out of her. Now, out of every nation upon the world, there's good and bad, but out of all the nations that's within the world, Yahweh Elohim said to come up out of her. So he is choosing to select you out of every country all around the world. So when you hear about those who are doing good, those are his who you are taking. Let's talk about those 38 individuals who're missing. Yahweh got them. Yahweh took them. You understand what I'm saying? Because it was his number. It was pertaining to something good. So what I'm trying to say is that we read in the scriptures or heard of things pertaining to what we understand to be as the rapture. It's happening now. Some are being taken, some are being left. Okay, so this is how we look at these particular things and we extract those particular principles, because this is the purpose of the Creator. So that being said, I just wanted to say those particular things so that you can get an understanding of what's taking place. And you've been ready to see a major war. Put your seatbelt on. That's all I'm going to say. Seatbelt on. It's a fresh year. Watch what's getting ready to manifest. It's not going to be nothing nice. But to the sons, it will be just what Yahweh Elohim has promised to those that love him. So that being said, I'm just trying to warn you, give you heads up. I'm not threatening you, because all I'm stating to you is that it's a promise given about the Father. You hate the messengers. That's all you did from the beginning of time. Kill the prophets, this, that, and the other. It's fine. But it's not going to happen like you think this time. Because you have to understand that what you think for evil, Yahweh meant for good. And you'll see. So now let us end. We're going to go to Ephesians. The last two verses of the 3rd chapter, which reads, now unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundant above all that we ask or think, according to the powers that work within us, unto him be glory in the assembly by Yahshua, the Messiah, throughout all generations and all ages. Let us say hallelujah, and let us go hence. Shalom, people.